Bag your dick with a Revolver Live condoms from the Bag of Dicks company. Revolver Live and Bag of Dicks are not responsible if you get fucked like Big Bird. Hashtag Bag of Dicks, hashtag Beach Needles are on. When you're getting ready to fuck them like Big Bird, make sure you bag your dick with Revolver Live branded condoms from the Bag of Dicks company. They will help prevent you from catching YOLO, a disease spread from 30 FPS and dick slaps, and other horrible ailments. Please don't be a peasant. Bag your dick with Revolver Live condoms from the Bag of Dicks company. Revolver Live and Bag of Dicks are not responsible if you get fucked like Big Bird. Hashtag Bag of Dicks, hashtag Beach Needles are on.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Revolver Live, the gaming podcast that says forget the past. The future belongs to the nerds. I'm the Beastly Gamer, the king of all consoles. Today, joined by the Revolver team, and today we got a great show lined up for you. Joining me today, the king of all things Destiny, Briar Rabbit. How you feeling this week, my friend?
I'm doing good. I had to rewind that video because I forgot to allow sound through, so I played it again with sound. But now we're doing good. I think everything's got sound. I think everything's working. The stress part is ending, and now we get to have some fun.
Sounds like beginner's luck to me. What's going on, Willie? How you feeling, Wilson?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Been playing a lot of Destiny 2 on PC and some console Overwatch. You know, got to get my Hanzo on. But most importantly, man, I've been watching some DayZ streams. And I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm ready for that bitch to come to beta because I had a lot of hours sunk into that game. So I'm anticipating DayZ beta to drop sometime in my lifetime. And I'm hoping.
Are you talking about coming to the PS4?
No, on PC.
DayZ.
No, it's going to be dropping. Yeah, DayZ is officially going from alpha to beta sometime in the near future.
It's only been, what, how many years has it been? The alpha's been out for years, right?
Yeah. Like over 8 years, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, my God. At least it's...
I just wanted to make quick mention before we move on to more intros that there was a little bit of controversy last week about a certain dick being posted. And I think that there is now definitive proof on screen in our Skype chat about who the dick drawer is. As you can clearly see, it is Wilson. He tried to blame that shit on innocent little Gary.
It's not my medium. You call me like I think last week Gary said you're the artist. It's not my medium. I don't work with dicks well. I work with my dick well, just not others.
We can now see there is a pattern of behavior emerging.
Unbelievable.
So basically what you're saying, Briar, is that we all have reasons to be happy. You got a dick joke in early. Wilson talked about playing on consoles and on PC, so I'm happy, and so is Gary Diaz. What the hell is going on this week, my friend?
Hide your dicks, lads, because I'm going spicy up in this bitch this week. It's Game of the Year.
Game of
the Year. Can't believe it.
Yeah, man, this is our Game of the Year show. A lot of work has gone into this episode, and 99% of that work was put in by Gary Diaz, and we love you for it, Gary. I wanted to say thank you. I know what my picks were, but when I looked at the information that you had compiled, I felt like you should be working at IGN or GameSpot or Fox News or CNBC. You do a lot of work, and you make it look easy, and we really do appreciate it. For the people joining us for the first time and people who just like to hear it every week, Revolver Live is a gaming podcast with 6 revolving topics. We go live every Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. That's twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. The video is then shared on YouTube at my YouTube channel, Beastly Gamer, and at Briar Rabbit's channel. If you're unable to see the live feed or the video format, check us out in podcast form on Podbean, iTunes, or your favorite podcast service provider. And with that, welcome to Revolver Live, the Game of the Year episode. Let's get with it, guys.
Let's get with it. I don't have the document open. So where are we starting? Oh, I do. I have it open. We wanted to talk a little bit about the Bungie stream before we got into the Game of the Year stuff, right? Bungie did the big Curse of Osiris reveal stream. They showed some new locations. They showed the new revamped lighthouse. They showed a little bit of Mercury. They showed a little bit of the new raid lair. And they showed a little bit of the Infinite Forest. What did you guys think of the reveal? Everybody get to see it? Beastly, did you get to see that? I'll take that as a no.
I think he saw it in spirit. He was there.
I saw it. I'm pretty pumped for it, man. It started with that opening cutscene where we thought that they were kind of in the Vault of Glass, but it turns out it's like a simulation or whatever. So we saw 6. I'm just gonna call it the Vault of Glass. Saw 6 Guardians going into the vault, fighting Vex. All of a sudden, time freezes. A gate opens up, and out steps the man Osiris and his ghost, who actually has a personality and speaks, unlike every other person's ghost that we've met in Destiny. So she seems cool. She seems funny. She's got a sense of humor. She seems smart. They've obviously spent a lot of time together, so they're close. Yeah, basically, as you'd expect, chaos ensues, and they got to bust out of there. And it really helped, in my opinion, set the tone for what kind of story to expect. It was action-packed. There was twists and turns. There was realizations, all within one little tiny trailer. Just so much information packed in one little trailer. And then, like Briar said, we got to see the lighthouse again in better graphics, a little vamped out. They brought in some furnishing, some, a lot of stuff that normally wasn't there, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I'm really excited. A lot of people thought that they kind of showed too much. I thought it was just enough to pique my interest.
I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Just get the blood flowing to the genitals. Question I had was, this might be the most amazing story expansion. They could give us like tons of content, 4 raids, loads more PvP to do. Do you think it matters what they give us unless they fix the endgame progression model that we've got? Because we're just going to chew through it, spit it out, and bounce off onto the next game in 2 weeks. What do you guys think?
I might be different from you guys, but I haven't gotten tired of Destiny 2 vanilla.
I haven't really either. I recognize the problems that are there.
Yeah,
I'm still having fun when I play it. I'm doing patrols, I'm doing raids, I'm doing Trials of Osiris. I will say I'm not putting the hours in that I was putting into vanilla Destiny in year 1. But I am enjoying my time with it for sure. I would like to see a lot more endgame content and a better investment system and better ways of doing loot and improvements to PvP, and there's a ton of improvements I'd like to see, but what I play I actually do enjoy.
I feel the same way, and of course I don't see the layers that you guys do being as versed in the lore as you guys are, but when I play, one of the most important parts of playing Destiny is having someone to play with, and virtually every time I play Destiny I have my best friend with me. Our TVs are next to each other. So that aspect of friendship and camaraderie and exploration and doing things together is always there. So it's much harder for me to get bored, because even if I'm doing the weekly or the daily or doing a nightfall, I got the person who's always with me. So that aspect of the game never gets stale, never gets boring. And like I said, I told you guys pre-show, today I had a great time playing Destiny. I know a lot of people are done with it. The end game still has people upset. They need more to do. But for me, every reset, I'm ready to jump out there and get what I got coming to me. So, yeah. That's one thing I'll say about Destiny. I still love it. Maybe not as much as I did, the first couple of weeks, but it's still the game I spent the most time playing all year.
Question, though, is I do think they need to fix the investment system. Yes. And Curse of Osiris isn't the only thing we're getting in December in Destiny. We're also getting Season 2. And with that, hopefully, some improvements to how loot works in Destiny. And I think that if they're not prepping for that system, they're not in a full-on panic mode over at Bungie trying to fix that, they do have some problems ahead, because the game just does not hold your attention like Destiny 1 did, vanilla Destiny specifically. I think that over the years, they actually started to lose some of what made vanilla Destiny so special, and they need to find that again.
Do you think it's possible that thing that made vanilla Destiny so special is that it was the first of its kind, and now people have gotten used to that? And
sure.
once it becomes the norm, people drift away from it. Maybe there's no way to ever have that first thing again.
In a lot of ways, Beastly, is that this game feels very much like it's a direct sequel to that vanilla game, but it's simplified in a lot of ways. Right? There's not as many systems. There's not as much mystery. There's not as much. I don't know. Graphically, it's a huge improvement, and playing it on the PC, it's so fun to play, and I love the weapons, and I love the locations, but we're still we're still very much playing the same game that we're playing in Vanilla Destiny, a game that evolved, with the Taken King and with Rise of Iron, but those evolutions are not.
That's what
shown.
So you're saying that Destiny 2 feels like just the sequel to Vanilla Destiny 1 without all the expansions and without all the ways that they improved on Vanilla Destiny 1. That somehow they took a step back. I totally understand.
Yeah, you can clearly see that the game was developed before Taken King, because Taken King was when a lot of these changes to factions and faction packages and just overall ways to earn loot. You could definitely tell that it was developed before Taken King. I'm still enjoying myself, more so on PC with PvP. I'm actually finding myself getting a lot better with not only controller, but even with mouse and keyboard. I feel like there's a higher skill ceiling to hit on PC than there is on console. And that's not just an elitist thing. I don't know what it is, but I feel like there is a higher skill gap and more room to improve. It's
definitely harder to learn mouse and keyboard if every time you jump into PvP you're using a controller. So I definitely hear that. What I'd say about Destiny 2.
Yeah, he didn't say anything either.
Yeah, okay, let me rephrase that. When I'm out fucking around, I'm using mouse and keyboard, but I am learning a little better. But if I'm rolling with the boys for a trial run, hell yeah, I'm going to use controller. I'm going to use what gives me my competitive edge for the time being. Just wait, Gary Diaz. Just wait.
Just gently threw that shade in there. Was seeing if he calls it or not.
Shade.
We got so much to talk about. I don't want to focus on Destiny too much.
No, for sure. I think that to keep it on a positive note, and that's kind of, I just wanted to see what you guys thought about that. Let's remember that while we may be done with the game now, Destiny is an ongoing game. We'll be talking about ongoing games later in the show, and it's not just Curse of Osiris coming. We've got Season 2, we've got The Dawning, and all of that's coming before the end of the year. So lots of things to talk about on Destiny, and its time will come before the end of the year. So we'll loop back around on that. I wanted to quickly touch on I guess, we could say at least Bungie on EA, because this week EA have caught pretty much the entire internet's worth of flack with the whole Battlefront 2 progression system. Have you guys been following that? What's your take on this?
A little bit.
I think it's warranted. I mean, if I had to put a word to it, it's warranted. You buy a Star Wars game with Luke and Vader, being the poster boys of selling the game, and they're locked away behind
40 hours of work grinding.
I've heard conflicting reports. I've heard closer to 30 hours is what I've heard. But another huge problem is that they're not rewarding the good players in games with more credits to unlock these good players. So they're promoting a lot of people going AFK in a corner and camping because you're only missing out on maybe 5 to 10 less credits per game. And I think it's very much warranted. And not even so much with the amount of time that you have to put in, because me personally, I enjoy putting a lot of time into a game, maybe not that much just to unlock one character, but the blatant pay to win aspect of the materials that you can get. I saw a lot of YouTube videos of them doing it just for science, and all the crafting materials that you can get, and all these purple cards that give you 20% extra damage and faster maneuver, maneuvering and stuff. And they're just clearly shitting on people because of it. And that shit is what's really burnt my ass a little more. And I'm not surprised, dude. They've been doing this shit for a long time, dude. I'm just really glad that for once, the community kind of stood up and said, dude, enough.
As a whole, too, the community collectively stood up against this type of, I don't want to say Orwellian, but it's just underhanded bullshit. If you can pay a company like EA microtransactions and all of a sudden you have huge advantages over everybody else, it breaks the game. That's one thing that, luckily for Destiny hasn't happened. But if you start off, you release a game with that kind of environment, basically you're killing your own product before it even hits the shelves, in my opinion.
So I was going to boycott before the game came out and all the negative press and everything else there. Yeah, I was going to boycott it and vote my wallet and everything else there. But ultimately, I'm a weak, very small and tiny man. So I bought it on day one. Of course. Played through the whole campaign, which was nice. It was Star Wars. It's what I wanted. It took me around all the sites and the things of the Empire, and it had an interesting story. I'm not going to say it was groundbreaking, but it was about as good as Destiny 2's. Really? Played through that. Got to the PvP, like the multiplayer, and I've got to say, this game may well be what we class as pay to win, if you want to call it that, in the same way that League of Legends, you can pay for certain heroes and unlock better characters, etc. What I will say is, if you're paying to get an advantage in Star Wars Battlefront 2, more power to you. The maps are like 30 players a side, I think it is. It's like 32 players a side. Immense maps. Most of the time you're being picked off at huge ranges. There's hella bloom on the guns. It's a pure arcade fun experience. I don't think anyone there is playing to win. People are there because it's Star Wars. They're having fun. This game is fun first and foremost, and they're extracting money because of the Star Wars franchise. I think...
But it's so frustrating, Gary. Even if you're just there for fun, if you feel like you're losing, TIE fighter battles because this guy got a star card that's got, and his TIE fighter is faster and more maneuverable than yours, it's just really frustrating,
I think, honestly, as someone who's...
just to play some, have fun in the Star Wars sandbox, but if I feel like I'm getting pooped on because this guy spent $100 on star cards, that's not fun.
I think that as someone who's played quite a bit of it and had a look at it and played different map modes and things, I've never lost to someone where I felt like they've had money. I feel like you'd be hard pressed to tell if someone's beaten you because they're skilled or because they've got money. I think that's the minority of players who are high rollers and whales who are putting money into this to win. From what I've seen, it's just going to be a fun Star Wars romp. And what I would say is, if you really, really want to buy this game and you've been put off by all the negative press because you think there's going to be a negative experience, I don't think you'll have it. I think if you want to enjoy the game, go enjoy the game. If you want to boycott it out of moral privilege, be a bigger man and do it. Yeah, but, I'm just going to say
they also have removed the microtransactions.
The microtransactions.
So they may be returning. I would suspect they're returning, but they have removed them due to huge amounts of pressure.
I just wanted
stock prices went down, for Christ's sake.
A quick question.
To be fair, the whole market had a dip that day, but a lot of people are saying 7%. Some people are saying 2.5%. The market was down that day, and after it returned to normal, they were down 2.5, which is down. But it is important to note that they did, like Briar said, that they're bringing them back, but they said that they're going to rework them. So what that means is, are they going to be cosmetic now? Are they going to be
more than likely? Yeah,
maybe not.
Quick question, Gary. Now you played through the campaign, and I want this to be as quick as possible. I was kind of cautious about this game because the original game kind of left me wanting. This is worth picking up.
I'd say if you enjoy Star Wars and you enjoy the Star Wars universe, and you want a bit of fun, it's fun. There is a story in there. There's also a big question mark as to whether or not the storyline in this spoils The Last Jedi. I'm not going to go into specifically why, but there's some major implications that have been left unopened. Yeah, so I feel like it was a little bit sneaky for them to put potential movie spoilers in the game and try to link their cinematic universes in that way. But there are, it's a fun romp, and I just wanted to put a bit of counterbalance on the argument, because it seems that all this game is getting is negative press because of the progression system, which I don't think the developers had much of a hand in. I think this could be a publisher thing here, and we're shitting all over DICE, who've worked incredibly hard to create what is a fun, probably one of the best Star Wars fighting games.
You gotta draw a line in the sand at some point, and you gotta stand your ground.
For
sure.
Like if you're willing to, continue supporting this kind of activity, fine, go out and spend your money on this. If you're not, if you want to see this, stop, if you want to see this kind of activity end, I mean, the only way to stop it is with your dollars. And if you go ahead and buy it, you're supporting the decision. If you don't buy it, then you're supporting the, gamers saying, no, this is too far. You've gone too far with this.
For sure.
I understand, DICE, I'm sure there's a bunch of really nice people that work at DICE, but they are involved in a real fucked up situation. And I'm sorry, sometimes,
I just wonder if the average gamer
buying this is irresponsible.
I just wonder if the average gamer who's walking into GameStop and sees Star Wars this Christmas is even aware of the progression system. That's
I think they might be. This thing made national news.
Yeah, this is big news.
Yeah, it went CNN.
It had the most downvoted comment on Reddit ever.
Yeah.
In the history of Reddit. It was a response from one of the. I don't think he was a dev, was it? Was it a dev?
It was a community manager.
Community manager, and it got I think it's like over like 1 or 2 million downvotes right now. It's the most downvoted thing in the history. His response.
Gary, you're fucking irresponsible, and that's what Revolver has decided today.
I accept the response, and I'll enjoy playing Star Wars in spite of it.
I would definitely agree that it's a publisher thing, in my opinion. Yeah, 100%. Sometimes when you want to get a game published, you got to roll with the punches and do what the publisher says. They can rush your game, they can delay your game. I mean, they're publishing your game, So you gotta do what they say. It's the way it is.
I love Star Wars, and I heard about this in passing. I'll probably check the game out once I find out exactly what they're going to do as far as microtransactions in the future. But I love Star Wars. I can't wait to see what it's all about. All right. That was the intro. Only 25 minutes.
So we need. That's quick for us. Normally it's 45, 50 minutes in and we're still talking Destiny. So that was a record.
Yeah, we had to get through it. today.
Well
so
done.
would you like to introduce the Game of the Year discussion, Mr. Diaz? This is your brainchild.
I'm more than welcome to. It's. I think it's a collective. It's a hive mind. I think whenever we decide something on Revolver, it's kind of like a Stranger Things hive mind thing where we kind of get together and collectively slope towards the same goal. What we've decided is that we want to whip through kind of like a victory tour of the Game of the Year nomination categories, have a look at what the Game of the Year awards have suggested, and take our views on them. So we're going to do a kind of a flavouring of those. I think about 6 or 7 categories, maybe a little bit more. And then we're going to round off this week's podcast with a Revolver Decides Game of the Year. So we think we've got far more knowledge, inclination, and expertise than the industry experts who've pulled these shitty lists together.
Agreed.
And we're going to use these expertise to.
There's no Yobo on this list.
We're going to mansplain it and decide with pure testosterone.
That's what we're doing, mansplaining?
Game of the Year. We're going to spray our male testosterone all over your earbuds. So, open them wide because here it comes. We're going to kick off with Best Game Direction. I'm going to.
The nominees are.
Yeah, I'm going to go through the nominees. It's Horizon Zero Dawn by Guerrilla Games, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard by Capcom, Super Mario Odyssey by Nintendo, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild by Nintendo, and finally, Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus by Bethesda and Machine Games. What do we think? Best Game Direction,
Resident
which was the most cinematic?
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Game Direction. Now, when I look at the other nominees, possibly barring The Legend of Zelda, which does have similar games in that vein, Horizon Zero Dawn, very similar to The Witcher. Wolfenstein is something that we've seen time and time again, but Resident Evil 7 changed the direction.
Spoken like a man who hasn't played Wolfenstein.
Listen, no, what I'm saying is Wolfenstein 2, we've seen that before in Wolfenstein. Of course, it's an updated version with more going on, but Resident Evil 7, the game direction completely changed from the franchise. That's the argument I'm making. Every other game here, even Mario Odyssey, we've seen Mario's before in that vein and in that style. So for me, the game direction changed so much for me.
Wait, I don't think that's what we're talking about here. Okay, so I think we might have a misunderstanding of what the actual category is. Direction, I think they're specifically talking about not the direction that the series has taken, because it's not necessarily like Horizon Zero Dawn isn't part 2 of a series, right? We're talking about the actual direction that was taken by the development team.
And that's why I said, like with Horizon, The Witcher, to me that game direction is kind of copied and pasted from The Witcher. It's almost
talking more about like cinematics than gameplay.
I think the whole I
think you mean sandbox.
Yeah, I mean
just the general sandbox going around questing, open world.
It's something that, in my opinion, I've seen before. And so for me, the game direction for the other 4 nominees...
If that's the direction you want to take with direction, which I don't think is really what they're going for here, I got to say Legend of Zelda is a completely new direction for any game. And it wins. But I don't think that's what they're going for. I honestly think they're talking about like cinematics and story and voice acting and, like the director of a movie.
But we got those categories. We got story, we got voice acting, we got all that stuff. So this has to be something different. And for the people watching and listening, we're going to get into some shit today. We're going to disagree and we're going to fight. This ain't going to be like last week. Fuck that shit, Briar. I say direction is what I say direction is, and it's a new direction.
Then you're wrong because, I mean, Resident Evil 7 took a completely different direction for the series, but Legend of Zelda took a completely different direction for the industry. They changed what open world games are like.
That's why I said barring Legend of Zelda. And
they also changed the way Legend of Zeldas were played as well.
Completely.
Yeah, it's there's nothing like it.
I mean, no open world game is going to look the same after Legend of Zelda.
If I'm looking at it from Beasley's perspective, Legend of Zelda. If I'm looking at it from Briar's perspective of like direction, like director of, a film or, the game, I'd have to Wolfenstein 2, hands down.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hands down.
Yeah. And like I said, when I was trying to make the argument, the only game other than Resident Evil that I could even see making this argument would be The Legend of Zelda. But unlike you guys, I didn't beat that game.
Gary has researched it and is clarifying what exactly this category means.
As adjudicator in this, whenever we get into a debate here, I'm going to refer back to the description for the category. Best game direction is awarded to a game studio for its outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design for the title. Okay. So I think we're going to go with, for me personally, I'm gonna have to back Briar and say Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Surprise! I'll back you too, Briar. Give me that knife.
For me, right? If we're talking about
what's going on
if we're talking about creative vision and innovation in game direction, to me, Resident Evil 7 is innovation for the series, but it's not innovation for games. Outlast was doing that well before Resident Evil was. They're both survival horror. There's survival horror, first-person survival horror. In my opinion,
Resident Evil was VR survival horror, the first time that was ever done in a full-fledged game. The first time you ever played a game like that. And it was unbelievable. I beat that. And see, I can't really give my full opinion on The Legend of Zelda because I only played about 10 or 15 hours of it. And that's why I feel like you guys could be right in that. Say what?
That's a significant chunk. 10 to 15 hours of a game, I think, is enough to give you impressions of a game.
I think Breath of the Wild puts up a good fight here because whilst Resident Evil 7 is a great game within its franchise, in my opinion, Breath of the Wild is a great game just full stop across the industry, across generations. It's something that has taken the open world genre and completely revolutionized it. And I think we're going to see ripples of it for years to come. It's not just an Assassin's Creed or a Horizon Zero Dawn clone. In my opinion, Horizon Zero Dawn has got a dog in the fight for some later categories, but it's not best game direction by any mark of the, same as Wolfenstein. I don't think is great direction. It's definitely got a lot in it, but it hasn't innovated the first person shooter genre in the same way that Zelda has. I mean, Wilson, you haven't.
I would agree.
What would you say, Wilson, on this?
Oh, like I said, since we clarified it now, I mean, it would definitely have to be Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Like I said, that's kind of why I broke it down in like two different ways. I think it took aspects of A Legend of Zelda that made it good, and then it tried new things and made some improvements, in my opinion. Like just
a lot of improvements. Like everything was an improvement.
I mean, the amount of time that you can spend in that game compared to any other Zelda game and try to 100% it, like you're gonna be there for a long time. I could 100%, my favorite Zelda: Link to the Past in 5 hours. If I wanted to, which is no feat, it's no speedrunning strat or anything like that. That's just in comparison to previous Zelda games. So Breath of the Wild.
I mean, with Breath of the Wild, we've played open world games before, but I've never felt freedom like I do in Breath of the Wild. Like if I see something, I can just go to it. And it's not just a bunch of little markers on my map that I'm just kind of constantly either fast traveling to or just making a beeline for. It's this sense of exploration that they just absolutely nail in Breath of the Wild that I don't think any game's ever done as well before. It's stupendous. And basically, I fucking love Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. But just that game is an amazing Resident Evil game.
It's an amazing game, period, to me. Yeah.
But it when you put it in this category up against Breath of the Wild, it's not even close to me.
It's just too wild. It's not enough. Yeah. I can understand and respect that.
I would put Resident Evil 7 in second place though over all the other.
For game direction, yeah, I could second that. I think it is a good second place. I mean, Horizon in the chat. I mean, the chat have been coming up with some great points here. I feel like Horizon does take a lot of the cues from Far Cry, something like Far Cry Primal. I feel like it was close if you think about it. You know, not narratively, but game direction wise. Super Mario Odyssey again draws on the cues from 64 and Sunshine and evolves them and takes them forward. Wolfenstein 2 doesn't do anything new per se, but it does what it does in an incredibly immersive way, and we'll get into that. Yeah, I think I can definitely side with Res Evil 7 taking the second spot, but it has to be Breath of the Wild winning. So is this our Revolver deciding for best game direction?
I think so. Yes. I think we're all good with that.
Yeah.
We don't need to do like a top 3. We could just do a top 1, right?
Top 1, yeah. I think we just wanted to make sure that
these categories.
Resi 7 was recognised because
I can take second
passionate
spot
about it.
I think it's a deserved second slot too.
I mean, depending on how you look at it, number 2 can be more fun than number 1.
Sloppy second.
It's the next category.
Moving on.
Okay, so I'd like chat as well to come up with some predictions. So while we're reading out these nominees, if you guys want to throw up your ideas, it'd be great to reflect back on that during our conversation. So if you're here live, we'd love to hear it. Moving into best narrative and story, the category is described as for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. So this is outstanding storytelling and narrative exclusively. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice by Ninja Theory. Horizon Zero Dawn, also Ninja Theory apparently, but John Gonzalez. Nier Automata, Yoko Taro being the director by Platinum Games. What Remains of Edith Finch, by Giant Sparrow. And finally, Wolfenstein 2, New Colossus, Machine Games. What do we think here, chat? Guys, what do we want to kick off with?
For me, it's really between Hellblade
and Horizon.
I loved Horizon, but I didn't play Nier or What Remains of Edith Finch. So, but for me, what Hellblade did was they literally, in a video game, changed my perspective on the world. They changed the way, with that narrative, that I view mental illness. Like, it was that impactful. In Wolfenstein 2, the narrative is so much fun that I'm actually having trouble going back to it because I don't want it to be over.
Damn. Shit.
Wow.
I'd say I have to echo, man. I feel like I'm just like sitting there just circle jerking Briar, but this Hellblade for me was a spectacular experience. It was a great game. It was a good, solid 10 hours that I played through and enjoyed. I say Wolfenstein to me is the better game in terms of narrative. Like, I don't know, for me it did more of what I wanted from a game, in that, you know, I keep saying the quotes of Briar, I feel like a fucking freight train. You do. The way that the story, the way they direct the cutscenes, the way that the actors, the voice acting, the mocap, everything about it, the way the music, the rock music starts to build during the cutscene and it crescendos at the end of the scene when you're just about to go back into the action. There's no other story that I've been rushing through, apart from The Last of Us. Actually, the last game that I had, this was The Last of Us, where I just wanted that gameplay segment over. Game. Well, I just wanted the gameplay over so I could get back to the next bit of the story and just have the narrative drive me through. I give other people a chance to pop in, but for me, Wolf 2 is my clear winner here.
For me, the two that I have to decide from will be Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which, like Briar, like Gary, Wilson, did you play this game as well?
No, but I've seen a full playthrough of it on stream. So.
It was unlike anything I'd ever played before. It wasn't revolutionary, per se in gameplay, but from perspective, it totally was. To be this person who had this illness, this mental illness, and you felt it, for the first time in your life, you kind of understood what it was like to have, these type of mental issues and have voices in your head and people talking to you and understanding, that it's just a horrible situation to be in. And you really feel for this character and you're going through this world and seeing things in a certain light that might not necessarily be true. And that really was amazing to me. But for me, my choice in this category, because I didn't play Wolfenstein or What Remains of Edith Finch. I think I have it, but I haven't played that. I played the beginning of Nier Automata, but my wife couldn't beat the first boss, so I stopped with her. But Horizon Zero Dawn is my choice here, narrative and story, because Aloy's story for me, I held on to it. It was meaningful for me to watch her come from being this child, this outcast, and understanding the weight that she carried on her shoulders. Kind of reminded me of the Naruto anime. She was really an outcast. People didn't like her, and then she rose to the occasion. She fought against all odds and basically became the savior of her people and almost of the world, in a sense, in this game. And for me, that was a very powerful and heavy story to observe. And everything she went through when I played through that game, it had meaning for me. I'm not talking about the side quests. I'm talking about the main, understanding what was going on around her. And really the way that this story was told. It was a big lie. It was technology that was turned into religion. And to me, all that melded so well in this story. It made such a great game that really could be an awesome film. And for me, when it comes to story, definitely it would definitely be Horizon Zero Dawn.
So I guess for me, it was kind of a toss-up. Hellblade, Horizon, Wolfenstein. And after looking at the three a little closer, Wolfenstein's great. It is a fantastic story. You are on the edge of your seat the entire time. It is the Quentin Tarantino cocaine roller coaster ride that you would expect. Like, it is fucking action-packed, and it does not disappoint. But it's not the first time a story like that's been told to me. Horizon Zero Dawn, probably out of these three games, the character that I was the most attached to, the most relatable character. Loved her story, loved her overcoming, all the odds against her, stuff like that. The setting, the universe, absolutely loved it. Absolutely, just very intriguing to me. But then I look at Hellblade, a game that I haven't played, but I've seen a full playthrough on stream, and without even playing the game, just watching the full playthrough of it probably impacted me more than Horizon or Wolfenstein 2. So with that being said, it's got to be Hellblade, in my opinion.
I agree with Will. It's got to be Hellblade. It's an incredibly impactful story, and it's told in a way that I think the way they bring technology together with the story and they use it perfectly in sync. I mean, it's hard to put that game down and not find out what the next thing is, right? It's I'm so drawn to Senua, but I'm also feeling like what is going on in her head, like much more than I think any other media could have really provided. It's insane, it's outstanding.
I would have got back behind you with Senua's Sacrifice until I played a game that we're going to be discussing later, so I won't go into it now, but Doki Doki does mental health better than Hellblade, and I will get into that later in the further categories. At the moment, seeing as BC went Horizon, I went Wolf 2, and we've got 2 votes for Hellblade. Hellblade seems like they've got the title, so in the event that Hellblade have got it, I'm going to switch my answer to Nier Automata just because I like the story and it doesn't matter anyway. But Hellblade have got that one. And
we'll do Hellblade in the number 1 slot, and then a tie between Nier, Horizon, and Wolfenstein for number 2.
That's some serious shit.
Chat, just to reflect back on that topic there, chat were very heavily behind Hellblade themselves as well. There were some other topics in there, but I guess the universal voice has spoken.
Yeah, they were behind Hellblade.
Hellblade has got that. We're going to move into our next category now, which is Best Art Direction. So, chat, listen up for your description and tell us what you think. This is for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. This is exclusively around what the game delivers from an artistic perspective. What was the pushback there? So we've got number 1, Cuphead by Studio MDHR Entertainment. Number 2, Destiny 2, Bungie Activision. Number 3, Horizon Zero Dawn, making an appearance again, Guerrilla Games. Number 4, Persona 5, Atlas. Number 5, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And for some reason this has 6 nominees. We're going to have Little Nightmares by Tarsier Studios. So what do we think, guys?
I'll go first.
Best
here.
art.
Little Nightmares, it just reminds me of Tim Burton. I want to give a ton of love to Cuphead here. Because it is, it's so different in gaming, and I mean, it's so original in gaming, but it is, really a throwback to like that 40s art style. Destiny 2 is fantastic. It looks like more Destiny. Horizon Zero Dawn, I feel like they nailed it as far as creating a world that was
unique,
but like it felt lived in. It felt right for the story they were telling and the world they had created.
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda, to me, it was beautiful. It's still like that Nintendo-ish art, though, is, it wasn't what drew me to Legend of Zelda. And I didn't play Persona 5. To me, it's got to be between Horizon Zero Dawn and Cuphead for me.
I actually was the one who snuck Little Nightmares in there because it stuck out to me as I played it, Gary.
Rigged.
As it was rigged. Yeah. It wasn't mentioned, and to me, that game had such unique art direction, but amongst the other 5, it still didn't win. I put it in there for you guys to think about it. But for me, watching Cuphead and seeing the Let's Plays of it, it is unique. It's a beautiful game, and it's unlike any other video game I've ever seen. But for me, Horizon Zero Dawn wins this category. The art direction in Horizon Zero Dawn is prehistoric and futuristic at the same time. These machines in the game, they seem to be alive, but they still seem to be mechanical. Of course, you see the character design, the way that the characters look. When Aloy's talking to people, the expression and the emotion that's expressed, it just blew my mind. It blew me away playing that game, and that would definitely be my choice. To me, Destiny is more Destiny. The Legend of Zelda is a great game, but as far as the art direction, to me, it never really just blew my socks off. So for me, it would be Horizon Zero Dawn.
Wilson, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, so I'm really torn here because, like, best art direction to me, like, sometimes some of the best art isn't always the most complex. It's really how it affects you. Art is so eye of the beholder. It's not even funny. So this is going to be a tough one for the 4 of us. Cuphead, absolutely stunning, something different. I feel like as far as standing out and being different, Cuphead feels really good. Legend of Zelda, I mean, I kind of feel about Legend of Zelda about how you guys feel about Destiny. It was just more Zelda to me. However, it's really coming down to Destiny 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn for me. And the choices for Horizon Zero Dawn, I think you guys have all touched on pretty well. I don't really want to repeat what you guys have said, but I can explain why I think Destiny 2.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Man, I don't know if it's because, like, I'm a lore nut and I know a lot of lore behind a lot of these locations, and I can look at things like on IO and say, those giant bones are Ahamkara, the old dragons, the wish granters, you know what I mean? And I can look at that city that seems to have rose out of the planet and say that's the last place that the Traveler's Light touched. And I could see all these different things that they've put in, and like even in Destiny 1, but we'll keep it to Destiny 2. Just visiting these locations, going through space, seeing all this awesome stuff. To be honest, like, that's kind of what I wanted from No Man's Sky, but just didn't deliver on that impactful level of, space magic and things happening that, we can't describe yet. And
you're making a strong argument for Destiny 2.
He sure is, Brian.
And
maybe I'm too close to it to really.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you guys is, do you guys think that for me is because you guys know how much I love Destiny? You guys know I love the hell out of that game. And I guess I'm asking you, like, am I putting Destiny 2 above everything else because I like that game? Or is it because, like, things like Ikora says, like, I find out the more things we find out about the universe, the more questions I have. And that's how I feel when I'm walking around and seeing some of these locations. If I don't know the lore.
Your perspective here really makes me want to dig into the lore, because I didn't know that, they tied that information that you got elsewhere into the game in such meaningful ways. For me, I run around in Destiny 2 and I don't know what any of this stuff means. So for me, art direction is, wow, this looks nice, or wow, the character designs look great. But looking around the world and seeing what they've crafted and how it goes hand in hand with the actual lore that you've read and stuff that's steeped in deep lore. For me, that's amazing. And that really does
the fossils like on Io, or seeing the wreckage on like you're right. I think I'm too close to it like kind of really realize that I spend all day in Destiny looking at all these things that really do, like, they do have an impact, or they do draw into the story. So, like, even though I might run past it 100 times and I don't really notice it on the 100th time, the first time, once you realize what you're looking at, you're like, oh, wow, and like, even like looking at the wreckage of Exodus Black, like, this is a story that we've been hearing about for 3 years, and we finally got to explore it, and it's vast, and it's pretty cool. You got me coming around on Destiny 2.
Or even on Saturn, the attention to detail where the Dreadnought released its testosterone explosion all over the Awoken army. I mean, there's that visible spot in the rings of Saturn. It's just, I don't know, that's my opinion.
From my perspective, I can see why you guys have said that, but I can also see why you're all wrong, because Destiny 2 is a beautiful game. It's great, but there's a lot of other games that are great looking. Call of Duty World War II might as well have been up there for best art direction then, because they've recreated World War II in a very realistic, very gritty, artistic way, in the same way Destiny's created a fantastic planet. What I would say for this is it's artistic design, expression, creativity. I think chat have got a great point there with Cuphead, in the sense that Cuphead has gone with a design and they've delivered everything authentically, from the way that the menu comes in, the way that the developer introduction videos come in at the start. Everything from start to finish drips art. That's actually not my game. My game that I'm going to go for here, and I'm going to be alone. I know I'm not going to win this category, but fuck you guys anyway. Persona 5. Persona 5, for art-wise, everything about that game, again, from the second you put that disc in and load it to the end credits, is artistically designed. The way that the start menus, the way that the battle, it's a turn-based combat system, but the way that you choose which attacks you've got, it looks like it's straight out of a comic book. Everything about it. For me, the Destiny menus are functional, but they don't add to the lore of the game. They're just square boxes. I don't think you can compare.
Right out of Destiny 1.
You can't compare good graphics with best art, in my opinion.
Art design, yeah.
Well, it's
well, that's what I was saying. The best art isn't
just graphics in Destiny 2. It's the world they built. Worlds, multiple, because finding the aftermath of a battle in the middle of the basement of some place in Titan, is pretty cool, and it goes to show there was a lot of thought to it. I don't think it wins this category, don't get me wrong, but
it makes you look at it in a different way, for sure.
Just the attention to detail.
Dismissed it right away.
Yeah, me too. And when Wilson started to talk about that, I was like, wait a minute, that really happened on IL? Bones? What the hell is he talking about? Stuff that I don't even pay attention to. Now I want to go back and look.
Cuphead, though. Isn't this Cuphead's to win?
I think Cuphead would be fair, Briar. It's unlike any other game. There's never been anything like it before.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the most artistically creative thing that speaks to you the most isn't always the shiny Lamborghini. You know what I mean? And that's just from an art perspective. Like I said, there's things that speak to people that you look at and you just might not get. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's a lot of art like that I don't get. But
I think all 5 of these games are amazing. To me, 2 of them, though, to me, stood out based on their art direction.
That's Horizon Zero Dawn and Cuphead.
Yeah. When I first saw them, I was like, Horizon Zero Dawn immediately drew me in, and Cuphead immediately drew me in. But Cuphead, just being so unique and being all hand-drawn art, I think was really fun. And, the craziness of it, and somehow fitting that craziness into amazing gameplay.
You going with Cuphead?
I feel like if you took a screenshot of all 5 of those games, because we're leaving Little Nightmares out of there. If you took a screenshot of them all in motion, in stop motion, and looked at them, to me, the ones that would be immediately distinct, that I can't mistake this game for anything else, would be Cuphead and Persona 5. just my perspective on it. Persona 5 looks like an anime. It's nothing like another game.
The problem for me with Persona 5 is I didn't play it.
Right. I mean, it's a fair
for me to vote for.
You definitely make a valid point there, Gary, about if you put
Destiny.
all of them together next to each other, you make a pretty solid point.
Horizon looks pretty.
People,
you know?
If you did some creative screenshots, you could fool people into thinking Destiny 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn are the same game.
Probably. I mean, you could probably fool people into thinking Horizon Zero Dawn was Far Cry Primal. Destiny 2 was Halo. If you took it the right
Horizon Zero Dawn,
had pretty great. I mean,
it looked great.
They built a world in there.
That game looked amazing.
They blended it with technology. The creatures that were around, the armor that what's her name wears. Aloy. I mean, the differences between towns and cities in that game, like going and exploring old ruins, the way technology worked. Like, I mean, it was pretty crazy.
They represented every race in that game too.
Original. Like it didn't feel like the same idea of a post-apocalypse that I'd seen 100 times before. It felt like an original look at that idea, and it was true. It was that and the story were what kept me going, because the gameplay was fun, but it wasn't as fun as I was hoping it was going to be. I was done with that game when I was done with the story for sure.
Well said.
Well, I think we're gonna have to come to a conclusion.
Everybody chose something different, so
I'm gonna change my answer to Cuphead.
Cuphead wins.
You see, I'll concede Persona 5 to Cuphead. I'll concede it to Cuphead, but I would not concede Persona 5 to Horizon. So Revolver has spoken, Chat has spoken as well. Chat could have solved this for us without 15 minutes of debate, because they had Cuphead from the start. Well, I just think it proves that Chat know far more than we do.
Who did you choose, Gary? What did you choose?
Persona.
I choose Persona 5.
We have a riot. Chat decided there's 2 for 2, and Chat went with Cuphead, so we got fucked, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
Fucked him like Big Bird, Wilson. Nice job.
Fucked him like Big Bird.
There you go.
All right,
next one.
Go ahead.
Best score and music. So this is actually going to be quite a difficult topic, because the two topics that are coming up both focus on sound and audio, but there's a distinction in here. So let's listen carefully to what the category is. So best score and music is for outstanding music, exclusion of score, original songs, or licensed soundtracks. So this is not the way that the game sounds, but the music itself that was used in there. The nominees are Cuphead, Destiny 2, Nier Automata, Persona 5, Super Mario Odyssey, and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I can't help feeling that BC snuck one in here as well. Is this another rigged category?
No.
No? All right, I'll let you go.
Wait, let me see.
No,
yeah,
there's 6.
I see 6.
I didn't sneak one in here. That's all you, my friend.
Rigged.
All you.
Rigged.
I'll go first on this one if you don't mind. Hands down, and I'm gonna sound like such a fanboy. Destiny 2. I'm sorry, okay, and I'm gonna tell you why. All right. I'm gonna give a little bit of the story away here, so I hope that's okay. Just the beginning part. After the city is taken, and you are out in the wild, that sad music that plays when you're traversing through the mountain, working your way to Hawthorne's camp.
Yeah.
I have never in a video game in my life felt more attached to a game universe coming off the heels of D1 and as anticipated, like as excited and as much as we are anticipating Destiny 2, it's going to fix everything. And, we're going into the game for the first time. My hair stood so straight up on end on my arms going through that mission, and seeing the dead guardians laying around that were defenseless, that didn't have their light, and just it did a really good job of making you sad, making you hopeful, pumping you up, and putting a little fire under your ass, getting you scared.
I remember that track too, and it was very foreboding.
It's so good. Yeah. It's so moving. It makes you. I literally felt like I was standing in my guardian's shoes on the brink of losing absolutely everything I've worked for.
I own that soundtrack, and I've listened to it all the way through a couple of times. And what's surprising about it is it's not only a lot of music, but it's amazing difference in the styles of music. And it all, when it's playing in game, it all fits perfectly. It just works. They did an excellent job with that score.
For me, Destiny 2, I love it, and I think when we did the raid last week, Briar, I made a comment about, God damn it, this music is just so hype. Let's go.
So epic, yeah.
So good.
It's great, but I didn't play Cuphead. Near Automata, I have it. Actually, it was a gift from Joe, my brother. He told me, I want to buy you this game because it has one. He said, I want to buy you this game because it has the best soundtrack since Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And I was like, really? So he bought it for me. And I got, the first 20, 30 minutes in, but Kate couldn't beat the first boss, so I stopped. I'm sorry, Joe, I will beat it. I didn't beat The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, didn't even get close, but I did play and complete Mario Odyssey. And one thing I'll say about that is the soundtrack to Mario Odyssey is almost as magical as the game experience itself. It's really hard to put this style of soundtrack into a category. You guys know what Mario sounds like. But it's
not
uplifting.
This one, though. This one's got some variety to it.
Yeah, it's very uplifting. You go to New Donk City and you see the mayor, and she performs this song for you, and you're just there taking pictures of yourself and doing selfies. It's so uplifting. It's so awesome. The music when the bosses come down. I told you guys after I beat that game, I haven't felt that excited and felt that magic, that wonder that I felt, as a kid since this game. It's been so many years since I felt that. And part of that magic was the soundtrack of this game. Destiny 2, don't get me wrong, is amazing. It's awesome. But it comes in spurts for me. It's not, every moment. For me, I felt like playing through Mario Odyssey, all the music that went for particular parts of the game all matched perfectly with what you were doing. And for me, that would be my choice. I think Mario Odyssey's soundtrack was incredible.
Gary?
So I've kind of got three here, but I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to briefly touch on two and then narrow it down to the one that I've got. Cuphead has to get a mention here. Cuphead was exceptional. The soundtrack was perfect. Like the way that they captured that era, but made it non-repetitive. Like they were just, because you heard those tracks a lot, because you died a lot.
Yeah,
you were just getting the same track.
True.
But every time you went back in it, in my opinion, it was the music that kept the game. Because it was such catchy tunes that, you do the boss 30 times and it'd still be good the 30th time, like the track. So for me, Cuphead gets a shout out here, even if it doesn't win. Near Automata, great. The atmospheric music that you got there, to me, it took me back to some of the old Tenchu games. The Japanese kind of flowing, sort of, what's the word? Kind of atmospheric, chanting, melodic sound. Great. Again, works perfectly for a game. The only game on here that had a soundtrack that I would, and I have got in the car and listened to just anytime, going anywhere, Persona 5. Persona 5 music, I know you guys haven't played it, so I'm not going to win this, but I still got to get behind the corner, and some of the guys in chat have heard it. The soundtrack's 110 songs, 7 of which are full vocalized tracks, like proper tracks. You've got like an album of music, and this is like, I'm trying to think of the genre that it is. It's like kind of like jazz, bebop with a little bit of kind of pop music to it, synth sound. Again, these you could release them in the charts, and they could just be chart songs. They're that good quality. Like
I'm seeing that in our chat too. Persona 5, no questions asked.
The song Life Will Change and the battle theme, when you hear them, they're just like, the game oozes style and passion and creativity in every way. It should have won Best Art. I'm going to concede it here. It should win Best Sound. It's not going to, but it should. The game itself, like, if you've played Persona, even if you haven't, Briar, I'd implore you to listen to some of the tracks. You don't need to play the game to listen to them. It will make you want to play the game because the music is that damn good in Persona. It's not like Destiny. It won't move you, but it'll get your foot moving. Do you know what I mean? You'll tap. You'll be like, man, this is a jam. Like, this game is like really good.
That's another game that my brother Joe bought, played, and he told me months ago that it was one of his favorite games of the year. So maybe I should give that one a shot too, Gary. It sounds really awesome the way you've been describing it.
The game's amazing, but it's a 200-hour sort of slog. The music, though, you could listen to in like 45 minutes and have a great time. So I mean, just
go with the soundtrack.
Go with the soundtrack. That's my thing. It sounds
kind of going in 3 different directions here. We got Wilson on Destiny 2. We got Beastly on Super Mario Odyssey, and Gary, you're on Persona 5. I'll be honest with you, I can't make up my mind, man. Like,
whatever you can end it now, Briar.
I'm just gonna go with Gary. I feel like I want to toe tap and jam, man. Let's.
Why don't you get married already today?
I know, right? What kind of shit is this, man? Every time Briar decides some guys, it's I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Shit.
Right.
I feel like if I say Destiny 2 here, I mean, it'd be nice to see Destiny 2 come up on the board for something.
How many? Yeah. Let me ask you this: out of those games listed, did any of them give you chills? Did any of them give you goosebumps at any time? Did any of them it gave you the feels?
Destiny 2 did.
Yeah. With your emotions, man. Come over to this side.
Wilson, you won me over. Destiny 2.
Okay, good.
Yes, fuck you, Gary.
Fuck you, Gary. I'll say it.
That's fine. Shit. You guys can live together in poor taste. I'm quite happy with that. Not a problem. It's not a problem. Do you know what? Actually, saying that chat, early chat surge was Destiny 2. So I've completely take back what I said about our listeners. They've got poor taste too. Actually, they probably have. They're listening to us here.
Welcome to the Attack Podcast, where we attack anything and everyone.
Next is Best Audio Design. So this is a little different than Best Score in Music, but we got some similar names here, some differences too. Destiny 2, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, Super Mario Odyssey, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. If this doesn't go to Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice...
Hellblade's my choice.
I don't even know... like how it can go any other way.
Yeah. So this is in-game audio and sound design. So how the game was pulled together and the way that audio was used to contribute to the story.
Yeah, Hellblade. Let me just say this real quick. Hellblade is the only game I played all year with headphones on the entire time.
You absolutely should be wearing headphones. When
you can't play it on a television. You can't play it, the sound bar. None of that worked. The way that they've designed the sound around this game and things are going on in your head and around you, I don't see how anything else will even compete in this department. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, it was just incredible to hear and to be in this environment and to constantly be spooked and be questioning yourself. And it was all done through sound design. Really nothing else, in my opinion, can even compete with it. And I got every other game on there. So
I mean, I feel like we could discredit the other nominees. Like Destiny 2, again, I don't believe that the audio design... I mean, there's footsteps in PvP now. I don't think there's any need
to discredit them. I think Hellblade was just so fucking
so much
good
better.
that it just like
it did
you win because you fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Everybody else did a good job, but you were that lady who finished the fucking ultra marathon like 20 hours before everybody else.
Yep.
Like everybody else did a great job, but you fucking killed it.
I mean,
I love the sounds of the guns and stuff in Destiny 2 and the enemies and things like that, but like there's no comparison.
Yeah,
Hellblade,
Resident Evil
100%.
being in VR, like the sound design was almost as impressive as the levels. But Hellblade,
it did something different with sound design, something that we hadn't experienced before. Resident Evil was great, atmospheric. You felt like you were there. You could hear things around you. But other games do that. Hellblade did something totally different. You could hear slight whispers, and you look to the side like, what the hell was that? And then you hear this person laughing at you when shit's going wrong, and you make the wrong decision, and then you got these voices talking shit to you. It was just, it was something different, something special.
And this is the first category where chat have unanimously said Hellblade. There's not one person that's disagreed. So I think this is
so clearly the answer here.
This will be the easiest category by far.
Yeah. Next one I think is actually pretty easy for me. Best performance in a game. The nominees are Ashley Birch for Alloy in Horizon Zero Dawn, Brian Bloom as BJ Blazkowicz in Wolfenstein 2, Claudia Black as Chloe Frazier in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, Laura Bailey as Nadine Ross in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and Melina Juergens as Senua in Hellblade.
To clarify, before we dive into it, this is Best Performance. This is awarded to an individual for voiceover acting, motion capture, and/or performance capture.
Yeah. I didn't play Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. I have heard both of their performances are phenomenal. And the only reason I want to play that game is to see that. But for me, it's got to be Alloy. I thought that Melina Juergens did a great job as Senua. Her performance was not what was driving that for me.
It was the experience. Yeah.
Alloy, it was definitely Ashley Birch as Alloy. I was completely convinced. The interactions she had with other characters were convincing. Like I never thought about who's acting. It was just, this is Alloy. She nailed it.
Oh. I would agree to piggyback what you said, Briar. Hands down, it's, I pronounce it Aloy. I know it's
Aloy,
tomato,
right.
tomato,
Right,
whatever. Aloy to me was the most relatable character, the one that I felt the closest to, and we've kind of talked about it in the past before. When your main character is the female, I get super protective or whatever.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it, man. I think hands down, like you said, she had a very believable performance. Like you legit felt like she was talking to someone, and like the way that they put a lot of the dialogue together too, because man, sometimes emotion, that can just break the game if the audio is even slightly off. And I don't mean like mouth to subtitles. I mean like when you speak to someone and they speak back to you, it literally felt like these conversations were being that they were actual conversations organic, being they felt organic. Boom.
Her
perfect.
The intonation of her voice just felt natural. Like
soothing.
It didn't feel like she was acting. It felt she was reacting to what had been just said to her. What she
sarcasm, fear.
Well said. Yeah. Well said. Yeah. On top of that, it was very soothing as well.
So I need to break up this little Horizon Zero Dawn circle jerk. It's not going to win again, but I'm going to have to take a different angle. I'm sorry. I'm always the fucking devil's advocate.
I'm not picking Horizon, so
you know. Okay, BC, you crack on then. You lead the spearhead. Go for it. What's the best
Horizon Zero Dawn? I agree with you guys. It was great. And watching Ashley Birch perform as Aloy was, really, it was fun to watch, and I enjoyed all the amount of emotion that the characters had during those can't even call them cutscenes, conversational pieces. It didn't matter what was going on. You could see the emotion, the expression in these characters' eyes. It might be a very traumatic experience, and they would look afraid as they talked, or their voice levels would change, or they'd laugh and make a joke. I thought that was great. But Melinda Juergens as Senua, that to me was a performance. After I got done beating that game, I had to go on YouTube and Google and find out who this woman was. For me, her performance meant more to me than Aloy's, because it wasn't this supremely beautiful woman. She showed that she was vulnerable. Her performance was, she was afraid all the time. And then she had to change that and channel anger and go out into the world. And it just felt so much more real to me. And seeing her go through all these emotional roller coasters that she was on, dealing with these inner demons and dealing with outer demons and dealing with loss and love. And to me, Melina channeled all that perfectly in the game. I felt like everything that was going on felt real to me. Every conversation that was going on felt real. They felt like they had real weight to the conversations. But for me, it's like watching the movie Moon. It's one character. To me, watching this seminal character go through her inner challenges and her fight with herself and making it seem real. That experience seemed real because of that person. She played this role so well. And for me, that meant more to me, as an experience than Aloy's character. So my choice would be Hellblade.
Gary?
So I could take it to deadlock and back BC on Hellblade. I think that Melina did a great job, and what was interesting about that is that she wasn't a rehearsed actress in the same way that Ashley Birch was. She was actually the stand-in, just riffing lines. So she was part of the studio that was just brought in to be to be the stand-in that was taking lines.
Wow, I didn't know that.
She did it. So to me, it was a much more natural performance. So I could definitely take that to deadlock. However, I'm actually going to go with Brian Bloom as BJ, and there's hear me on this, right? To me, he was what kept me playing. It's not just the cutscenes. If you go back and listen to Wolf when you're starting, and this isn't spoilers because this is like the first couple of levels, he's narrating all the way through, talking about his body failing him, and the whole Caroline, lend me your wings kind of thing. Where he's like, Caroline, I need your wings. Like the way he's growling through it. You hear that there is like, we're not ready here. We've got to go through it. You hear him all the way through in the same way that I don't know the voice actor, but the guy who played Geralt, he was so good as Geralt in The Witcher 3 that I actually bought and played about 30 hours of Victor Vran because he was the voice actor in that game, and I just liked his voice that much. To me, BJ was, he might be a caricature, he might be a jarhead, but he had me so invested in that guy.
I mean, he's more than that.
To me, that was in what was a relatively pedestrian shooter, a hyper-violent shooter. Doom's done that Doom's done it better, in my opinion. The shooting aspect of Wolf, he was what kept me playing. You know, the one-liners, the speed. You know, I'm not going to go into plot points there, but yeah, I could back Molina certainly, but to me, I've got to shout out Wolf 2. And you know, the fact that again, I respect what Machine Games did as a studio. It's not loaded with microtransactions and DLC, and it's not got the sales that I think it should. Wolf 2 needs more accolades. It's a fantastic game, and Brian did a great job.
When I look at this though, and I'm looking at just the performance, I'm not looking at the writing, the story. I'm not looking at any of the, anything else. Ashley Birch, I think, she disappeared into her character better than anybody else.
And she's won it because it's 2 for Ashley.
Yeah, so you guys win by default.
You win by default. I could have saved it and taken it to deadlock, but we've got Aloy. I mean, if we look at chat. Chat were pretty much mixed between Hellblade and Horizon, so I think they echoed the intelligent people on the podcast and not the British troll who went with BJ just because.
BJ,
way to go, guys!
No, you made a good argument, dude.
There is nothing. I don't think there's a loser on that list. I think Brian Bloom. That is a character that's got to be hard to play because, like you said, he is this kind of. You think he's going to be this meathead, but there's actually depth there. And to pull that off in the ridiculous situations he's got to do it in, he does it. And he did it in the last game, and he did it again this time. I think he did it even better this time. I don't think there's a loser on the list, but the way I felt like Aloy, she became a character for me. I honestly think he could go any of those directions. So, and I just don't know enough about Lost Legacy to vote for those games.
Same. Should we move on to ongoing game where I think Destiny's got a dog in the fight here, which is interesting.
Yeah.
This category is awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time.
Holy crap.
Number 1, Destiny 2, but I think we could potentially extend that to the Destiny franchise. I think that's a fair shout. Grand Theft Auto Online, Overwatch, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Rainbow Six Siege, and Warframe. What do we think? Best ongoing game, guys. Chat, do you want to shout this out?
This is so difficult. It's such a weird category.
Well, for me, I played a little bit of Warframe and I loved it. I was waiting for Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Talked to Wilson and Kate and I downloaded it. I had a great time playing it, but I don't know enough about the game to put it in that category. I bought Rainbow Six. Didn't really like it after a week, so that's sitting around here somewhere. PUBG is awesome, but I'm waiting for the console version. Never played GTA Online.
Really?
Destiny 2 is incredible, right? And I bought all the future content that's coming. Overwatch's content is free. Everything for Overwatch is free. And so they just released a new character. I downloaded it and tried it out yesterday. It kind of makes things a little bit more enjoyable for me when you don't have to pay for something new. Destiny, everything that comes out is, you got to pay to play it. And I kind of like that whole idea that you bought a game, we're going to honor that purchase, and everything that comes out new, you're going to get it for free.
Well, it's not really free, is it? It's paid for by loot boxes.
Well,
not by mine.
The generosity of others pays for your experience.
So for me, and I know that Destiny's probably going to win this category because I'm sure that a lot of us, other than PUBG, I'm going to go ahead and go with Overwatch.
All right. I totally respect your decision. The games that I'm playing the most out of this category right now are Destiny 2, Overwatch, and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I have dipped into Warframe. I do appreciate Warframe for what it is, but Hugo made a good point in chat that Destiny 2 compared to, well, maybe you can even throw PUBG in there as well. Destiny 2 and PUBG haven't really had as much time to develop as, say, Warframe has. Evolve, I should say. So I have to go based off what Destiny 2 is right now. Gotcha. I can't hope that things are going to change in the future. I have to look at Destiny 2 right now.
That's fair.
And as big of a fanboy as I am, I want it to be a contender in this, but then I look at Grand Theft Auto Online. And I'll touch more on that later, more on Grand Theft Auto later. But the only thing that Grand Theft Auto Online has going for it right now is the roleplay community, which are mods that are not done by Rockstar. So technically, they're disqualified because Rockstar didn't do it. It's the player community that's making these mods for role play servers where people make characters and tell some of the most interesting unscripted stories you've ever seen in a video game, and down to every minute detail. Overwatch, you could say, I mean, if you call one character every 6 months content, I'd like a new game mode, some more new maps that don't suck like the one in the space station, which is awful right now.
That's not 9 into Overwatch.
Yeah, maps and characters aren't content to me. It is a PvP based game, but like maps over characters equal content to me. So PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, I mean, they say they're adding maps and stuff like that. I love the game, has a lot of replayability. Rainbow Six Siege, absolutely not.
No, that's on here.
Warframe,
it's good now.
It's good, but I don't know. Warframe, however, if you like Warframe and you like the never-ending grind of a video game, it is the perfect game for you. It is a never-ending grind.
Why isn't Gary on this game?
Expansion too.
It is. It just got a huge expansion, open world, I believe. It was like an open world expansion. I haven't tried it since then. I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. So
Why
for
haven't
me,
you tried it since then?
I just Destiny 2, man, because I've been playing Destiny 2.
We should all get together and try it out.
Are you hinting that I should just say Destiny 2 and get over with it? Destiny 2.
You done threw a fucking wrench in your shit. Don't get sidetracked, Wilson.
Talking
I'm right
too
here
much,
with you.
Wilson. Just say Destiny 2, all right?
Right here, Wilson.
So we've got Overwatch and D2 so far. Brian, do you want to go or do you want to round it? Okay, I'll go for it. I think it's a travesty. We've just got to say that World of Warcraft is not on this list because I feel like it is realistically the best ongoing game and has been proven time and time again with subscription numbers that it's retained. I know Blizzard don't publish them anymore, but it was still in the 6-7 million subs and gets more updates than pretty much anything else out there. So that being said, of what we've got there, I want to make a case for Overwatch. And the reason that I want to make a case for Overwatch is, in spite of what was said, I think on the ground, on the surface, yes, they don't do a lot of content. So, they support the seasons. They provide a great infrastructure for competitive play. They do introduce character balance frequently. But, they introduce character balance at the end of seasons so as not to imbalance the play during a season. So they close a season, balance the game, move on. They're consistently putting in new heroes when they need to. Maps are added ad hoc. But the reason is, if you've got a good map, players don't want new maps. Look at Counter-Strike. People play Dust 2 forever. It's just Dust 2. Like, Dust 2 is the only map played on Counter-Strike because it's a fucking good map. People just want a competitive base to play on. Where I think Overwatch wins the best ongoing content that evolves player experience is what they're doing for esports. So the Overwatch League is the first time a developer and a publisher and an organizer have got together to actually regulate and create a regionalized esport, which actually, Brian, you might have some experience into this week's DCP guest, so Optic Diesel. I think he plays for or is in the team of one of the Overwatch League teams from the United States, I think the Houston team, I believe. So what Overwatch has done is actually start to think about what you've always complained about, Brian. You've always said that I don't support esports because I can't get behind my team. My local team, my regional team, a team of guys that are consistent and solid. So Overwatch are setting salaries for players, contracts for players with medical and health benefits, regionalising the team. So they're getting rid of all branding. So you can't go in there with like Team Dignitas and Team Incognito and Team whatever.
It's such a small percentage of the player base, though. Like you can't go into a game store and say buy Overwatch and you could get 401k someday, or like, you know what I mean?
No,
it's not gonna happen. Like,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you're gonna have groupies.
Overwatch has got a really good retirement plan. It's got dental. It's got
Overwatch. You're not gonna have groupies on their knees with their mouths open waiting for you. I get that, but what they're doing in terms of evolving the player experience is creating an esports league where people can tune in and support, like, the Ohio fucking reach arounds or whatever they are, and see what they're doing, and are they beating the Connecticut Donkey Punchers? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know.
Come on, Donkey Punchers! I'm totally getting a t-shirt. Connecticut Donkey Punchers.
All I'm saying is that I think they're doing more for the ongoing video game ecosystem and what they're doing for esports than any other game on this list, and that's my case for Overwatch.
Okay, so Overwatch it is. And we're very happy if you're able to name every team, Gary. You need to name every fucking team.
We've got Briar here. We're waiting to chip
Overwatch,
in.
I agree with Gary that Overwatch, what they're doing with their league, I think is really great. And I think it's going to be great for not just the players who are playing in it, but for players who just enjoy Overwatch or people who enjoy watching competitive gaming, because they're really looking to revolutionize the way competitive esports leagues are, formed and curated and put together. And I think that's really interesting and place to watch. But for me, it's Destiny 2. Like, clearly, right? It's the game I play every day. It's the game I've been playing every day for 3 years. It's a no-brainer here. Warframe, I think they did an amazing thing with their new expansion, but that world and there's something about that game that just doesn't grab me the way that Destiny 2 does.
When's the last time you played it?
What's that? Before
When's the last time you played it? Oh.
Yeah, we were kind of dipping our toes into
it. We're playing it
Destiny
this summer on PC. And I mean, it plays wonderfully. It's so fast. It's so kinetic, and the loop and the grind is really fun. And it doesn't hook me though like Destiny does. Rainbow Six Siege, I just don't have experience with. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, I think, is it's hard to look at past that game on this list, but it just doesn't offer breadth of experience to me that a lot of the games on this do. And I got really addicted to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds during the summer, but I dropped it like crazy once Destiny 2 came out.
It's kind of an enigma because PUBG, it has this the blend of secret herbs and spices in there that keeps you coming back, because people that are coming back, they're not coming back for the loot boxes, they're not coming back for the cosmetics, any of that shit. So it's something
coming back for them chicken dinners.
Going back for them chicken dinners, and I think what it is that it's people are kind of starting to subconsciously feel that that skill, get closer to the skill ceiling that I was talking about, where they're getting better and they're progressing in a video game, and I think that's part of the thing that keeps you coming back with that.
It is a lot of fun.
It is. And Warframe, I'm with you, man. If I played more Warframe, it'd probably be a no-brainer for me, but I just don't. And like you said, the lore and stuff like that just doesn't grasp me the way
Fortnite is probably pulling some people away from that game too. I'm hearing a lot of good things about Fortnite. That's all my kids play is Fortnite. They keep begging me to play it. That's
Overwatch.
I just can't get past the building.
Great competitive shooter, but it's just not my game. What else can I say about it? It's just for me. I enjoy it when I play it, but it's not my game. And Grand Theft Auto Online, I don't know how this is on this list. It's crazy to me. It's Destiny 2 for me. It's Destiny 2.
World of Warcraft should have been on there. If WoW was on there, that would have been my vote, hands down.
So what's interesting about this category is we've reached a deadlock, and moving into our last couple of categories, I think what we need to do is defer to the chat to decide. Sure. So we've got Overwatch versus Destiny 2 head-to-head. We're going to allow chat to decide from the first person that says either Overwatch or Destiny 2. There's going to be a 5-second window, and whoever has the most things there goes. So you've now
Come on, Destiny 2.
Are we going to count to 5 once I see the first Overwatch or Destiny 2?
Yes, Destiny 2 wins.
2, 3, 4, 5. It's now in deadlock for chat. The next person that got Destiny 2's won it. It's Briar.
You Destiny bots.
Fucking
give
rigged.
Something to somebody else. Shit.
Destiny 2 wins by the rigged Briar Rabbit in chat. So for everyone that's leaving angry comments in YouTube, direct them directly at Briar here. Beastly and I were innocent in this. Shit. Perfect. Okay, our last category of the
indie
of the Game Awards before we go into Revolver Decides and we start slapping dicks and taking names is best independent game. Now, what we mean by an indie here is for outstanding creative and technical achievement made outside of the traditional publisher system. This is anything that wasn't AAA. Yep. We've got Cuphead, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Night in the Woods, Pyre, and What Remains of Edith Finch. Now, this is going to be a difficult category because I don't know how many of us have played some of these games.
On this list.
So it's going to be a quick one as well. We're going to need chat to help us out here, chat. So if you've played any of the indies here, that's Cuphead, Hellblade, Night in the Woods, Pyre, or What Remains of Edith Finch, make a case in chat while we decide through it. Go for it, guys. What do you think? Best indie?
Hellblade's the only one I've played.
Cuphead.
Yeah, I gotta go Cuphead.
We've got Cuphead. I want to say Pyre because I've seen a lot of it. I haven't played it myself, but I have played a lot of Hellblade and Cuphead.
Well, shit, it's back and forth in this one. Hellblade, Cuphead, Hellblade.
I think it's difficult to separate Cuphead and Hellblade because I think they're both doing what they do.
Yeah,
they're doing what they do great. You know, each one is excellence in their own field. I question if Hellblade should be in the indie category, if I'm completely honest.
It is on the verge, right? It's like right on the border. I think it is. I don't know, man. It's right on the verge.
I think it's indie in the same way.
Wins as per our comments in the chat.
I'm counting a tie.
I feel like if Hellblade is indie, then The Witcher 3 is indie because that was self-published by CD Projekt Red with a government grant from the Polish government to be able to produce that game. So that's kind of an independent thing. So they did it without a publisher. I think Hellblade kind of falls into that category of AA, and I think it had support from a mental health trust and something else in its creation. So I think I've got to swing Cuphead on this one because it's a true indie.
I like Ash. What Ash said in chat. Cuphead is a fantastic video game. Hellblade is an interesting story.
Ash wise beyond his years.
I like that.
I think
how old is Ash?
So we going Cuphead?
Cuphead it is.
83. We move into our last category, guys. This is it. This is the big boy shit. This is where we
Game
get filthy.
of the year, and we got some plans here. So we're gonna each give out our top 5. We are running a little bit low on time, so instead of we're gonna rotate, like, you know, everybody do their 5, everybody do their 4. I think we should just go through our top 5s just to make it a little quicker, because we only got a half hour left. Then we're going to share by math what is Revolver's game of the year, and then we're gonna throw the math out the window and just fucking hash it out what the top 5 games of the year are.
Yeah.
So
that's more like it.
Tell us, what are your top 5 games of the year?
Number 5 is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Number 4 is Resident Evil 7. These are all games I completed, so I can actually speak on. Number 3, Horizon Zero Dawn. Number 2, Destiny 2, the game I played the most all year. And number 1, Super Mario Odyssey, the magical experience. Just unbelievable. Made me fall in love with my Switch more than ever before. And those are my 5.
I'll go next. My number 5 is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I put so many hours into PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I had a blast. I could play it by myself for hours on end. And it was a whole different game when I was playing with a team. I played a ton with you guys. I just had fun with that game, like, just over and over again. I loved it. Resident Evil 7 was, I mean, if there's a VR game of the year category, it's
we both put that as number 4.
Yeah. It was a phenomenal game. It was immersive. It was fun. There were some issues with it for sure, but I absolutely adore that game. Wolfenstein 2 is just batshit crazy and super fun. It needs to be on my list. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, I described before. My number 2, it changed the way I view the world, and that is worth something. But my number 1, I think, is an easy number 1. It's without a doubt the best video game of the year was Cuphead. It just was a complete package. Every other game on this or anybody else's list I could find fault in. Cuphead, I could find no fault in. It is a nearly perfect game.
I think big boy talk there. You can find fault in all of our games.
Yeah, I know. The hell is that?
I find fault in your beard.
Shit. Ooh, thug life. God damn,
take it easy.
I know you're lying, Gary.
The day that I can grow one, I'll get back to you. Just waiting on puberty. Wilson, do you want to kick off the next one?
Yeah, man. Mine's going to seem a little odd for my number 4 spot, but starting with number 5, Cuphead. Visually amazing, beautiful. Shooters are awesome. And this is where it gets a little weird, at least for my number 4 category, because it's not technically a 2017 game. But however, Grand Theft Auto Online in 2017 had a role-play mod and servers added to it. And without going off on too much of a tangent here, guys, like, I don't expect this to really get much attention, acceptance, or praise from you guys or chat or anything. But from what those role-playing online servers have shown me is that there's a whole new world of video games and stories that you can tell yourself. You can tell them really well. Some of these guys are fantastic. I mean, there's been times where they'll stream 3 nights in a row, and at the end of the day, I can't wait to get home and see the continuation of the story that they're telling, you know, and a lot of the stuff happens on the fly. Very, very awesome. I feel like, you know, one of the biggest streamers in Twitch got started through that. Sheriff Eli Thompson never streamed a day in his life. First day streaming, over 50,000 viewers, you know, like,
jeez.
Yeah. I mean, he got shouted out by Twitch at Twitch, you know, one of the main stages on Twitch. They're like, you know, he was right up there with being held in regards with Dr. Disrespect, you know, as far as popularity. Like, your first time streaming and you're averaging over 50,000 viewers. Like, it's incredible. Like,
so did he get partners, just out of interest?
Well, oh yeah, absolutely. He's a.
I was joking.
He's a police officer in game. So there's real police that will pull you over if you're speeding. They have radar. They have the ability to search you, your vehicle, check for your license, registration, all this stuff. And he was one of the sheriffs, and that's why he was so popular, was because he was actually a cop in real life. So he knows how to make a traffic stop funny.
So it was like watching Bad, you know, at Cops when you had like the bad boys, come on, and it was just going there.
No, it was
like we're out and about with the law enforcement of Orange County, and you know, you'd sort of
some of these stories that these guys have told have been more interesting than movies that have had $100 million thrown at them.
Wow.
100%.
I've got to check that out, man. Do you know what?
I've
heard
I had no idea what was going on.
I'll send you guys some links to some popular people who are doing it, but like you know, off the top of my head, Mr. Moon's House, Thaddeus, Selvig, Coolidge, Classy Packs, any of those guys, check them out. They're usually always doing
this is like a whole new world for me.
You've kind of sold me on that as Game of the Century, and you're only on number 4. What more mystery?
Okay, yeah, moving along. Zelda Breath of the Wild for number 3, number 2, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and number 1, drum roll, shocker, Destiny 2.
Fucking shill.
All right, so the math. I'm going to show the math on screen here.
I haven't come in and dropped my 5 obscure
I'm sorry, Gary.
titles.
My bad. I read yours, so I already knew.
So Briar's cheating already. He's getting ready to discredit them. He's looking at, you know, all the negatives in them. So 2 of them I kind of have to explain, maybe, because you guys might not be immediately aware of them in the audience. Dear Angelica, I spoke about when I actually played it on Oculus for the first time earlier this year. It's actually a 13-minute interactive visual novel in VR. For me, why it should be on Game of the Year is because it did something in VR that I've not had in many other ways. I mean, if I could put Google Earth on there, I fucking would, but I can't. It's not a game. Dear Angelica's blurring the lines between what's possible as a game. It told the story of a girl remembering the memories of her now deceased mother. Through her mother was an actress, and it was the movies that she was in, but you were watching those movies take place around you. It was painting a story in sort of full 360 degrees around you, above you, below you. The way that the sound engineering was carried out, the way that you watched and slowly realized the story that actually this is her sitting on her mother's deathbed watching her mother die in front of you. And man, I get a bit choked up talking about it now. I mean, I'm a pussy really, but that was
Gary.
deeply emotional, because I felt, but my mother's not passed away, but actually, I felt like this could be mine. Anyway, that's why it's on there. It's 13 minutes. If you've got a chance, even if you haven't got Oculus or Vive, you're not going to get the same experience, but I'd say watch it on YouTube and you'll kind of get the gist of that. Number 4, Nier Automata. Fantastic game, needs no explanation. Number 3, man, this game, it came out of nowhere. Free, costs absolutely nothing. It's a visual novel. Doki Doki Literature Club on PC. If you get the chance to, or if you don't need a good PC. This will play on a 10-year-old laptop. It's a visual novel. Download it. It's completely free. If you want to give the developers money, you can and you should. It is a dating sim that hides. Honestly, it's a anime-style school dating sim. Doki Doki means like heartbeat or emotion literature club. So you are a young guy who is enrolling in a school club to meet girls. And you go to the literature club because your neighbour convinces you there's 3 girls. It's about a 7-hour story. 2 hours into the story, you realize this is not a dating sim at all. This is a dark horror and psychological terror game about mental health, depression, the dark spirals of what social anxiety can bring. And it has multiple endings that spiral off based on the choices you make in the game. The game itself fucks with you because certain endings you can get where the game file intentionally corrupts, deletes your file, restarts you in a completely new and parallel timeline based on where you were. Some of the characters aren't there anymore for certain reasons, some aren't. I have never been more enthralled or taken back by a game, and this to me impacted the way I view mental illness far more graphically than Hellblade did. The developer of it said that scary games are there because of the situation it puts you in, not because of what it shows you on screen. And how uncomfortable I felt playing this game, I've not had on any other game that I've had.
So if the game is free, how do you give money to the developer? What are you paying for?
So there's two things you can do. You can donate to them directly. It's a freeware, as in if you feel that their work values your currency, you can give them money, indefinite amount, or you can download the concept art pack, which I think is $9, and you get some wallpapers, ringtones, screenshots, background art. And Briar, yes, I haven't actually got to the fucking in the game, but it is a dating sim. There is some risque, flirtatious stuff. I mean, this jokes aside, this game, when you put it up, gives you severe trigger warnings. Like if you suffer from anxiety, depression, etc. If you can get through the initial taboo of it's a dating sim, you realize that it's fucking far more. Just to put in terms of popularity, this game came out on Steam at the start of November. It's had 20,000 reviews and is sitting at 10 out of 10 at the moment on Steam charts. Out of 20,000.
I'm going to try it for sure.
Wow.
It's a visual novel, so I'd say
is it for all ages or?
Do not do it if you have had experience or if you're sensitive to depression, anxiety, stressful situations, self-harm, suicide, anything that's in that mental space. And also,
my 7-year-old should be fine. All right.
Perfect. And also, if you find dating sims a bit taboo or risque, again, I've not seen any of the fucking. There may well be fucking in it. I don't know.
What the hell's dating for if you can't get to the fucking, Gary? What kind of games do you play?
That was my number 3 thing, and it's a biggie. Number 2, Breath of the Wild. Number 1, I've got to give it to Wolfie 2. Wolfie 2 was so good. So fucking good. As a game, as a pure piece of entertainment, I think it is.
It's so good.
Briar said you're wrong. He said Cuphead is an easy decision. Easy fucking choice.
I'm happy to be wrong, but I think Wolf 2 is mine.
Those are our individual picks. Gary has gone ahead and done the math. And I'm going to bring up what that actually says our game of the year is by the math. But then we're going to say fuck the math.
No more friends.
Argue this one out.
Yeah.
So here it is. Number 1 is Destiny 2.
How?
Game of the year, Destiny 2. Number
Rigged.
2 is Wolfenstein 2, The New Order. Number 3 is Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Number 4 is Cuphead. 5 is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Actually, there's a 3-way tie for 5. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Hellblade, and Super Mario Odyssey.
Bullshit.
Number 8 is Resident Evil 7. Number 9 is a 2-way tie between Horizon Zero Dawn and Doki Doki Literature Club.
Fucking as good as Horizon Zero Dawn, so eat that, Sony opponent.
A 2-way tie for number 11, Nier Automata, and Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, the newest game from 2009. And number 13 is Dear Angelica.
This is fucking bullshit.
One that fucking vote.
Show you that sometimes the math doesn't always add up. It isn't always right.
All right, so that's the math, and the scoring was, like if you put a game on your at number 1, you got 5 points. Number 2, you got 4 points. Number 3, you got 3 points. You guys understand, but we don't actually agree with this top 10 list, right? This is just
right.
Hell no.
This is just
this is what we decided. This is you're going to question maths now.
Hell, fuck math, man. We arguing this shit out, cuz.
Are made to be
questioning
manipulated.
Stephen Hawking and Bill Nye and all these guys.
Bill
Neil
Nye is
deGrasse
not a
Tyson
fucking
would-
scientist, okay?
Yes, he is.
No,
What
he's
would
not.
Neil deGrasse Tyson
He's a
say right here?
science
You
guy.
What would he
can
say?
attack Gary, but you cannot go after Bill Nye.
Fuck Bill Nye.
Here's the thing. Wolfenstein 2 is a fantastic story. I would argue the game isn't actually that great. Like the actual act of playing that game is most fun if you put it on easy and you pretend it's Doom.
Really?
Yeah, I mean that's how I feel about Wolfenstein 2. The story is batshit crazy, and absolutely everybody should go and play that game immediately. But actually shooting shit in that game, I don't know why they don't just take Doom's gameplay and port it over to Wolfenstein 2. It fit the narrative so much better than the sneaking around trying to kill commander thing that they got going.
I have to agree with you, because to me, I switched it to easy midway through, not because I was having a hard time, but because I enjoyed the frenetic shotgun play. And if you put on the harder settings, you can't charge someone with a shotgun because they'll like two-tap you with their little like Mauser pistols. So for me, when I get so jacked up on a cutscene where they're like fucking ready to kill some Nazis here, and then you go walk out and you get two-shot by one, you're like, oh, maybe I'm not. If you put it on easy, you can just run through, kill him. It keeps the momentum going, like you say. Yeah. I completely agree with that.
Like if they had the rip and tear gameplay of Doom in that game, I think it would fit so well. It'd be so much fun. But I love that game, but I don't think it deserves to be anywhere near the top slot, just because it's not like the gameplay of it is not that great. Zelda Breath of the Wild, though, I mean, that's a tough one to deny.
Destiny beat it though, mathematically.
Briar, you and I we're on opposite ends of the spectrum here, and I might be crucified in the comments.
Yeah.
But Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, like all other Zeldas, I know critically are amazing games, but I never, ever really got into them like that. I would buy them because I was a teenager with the job to watch my older brother play them, like the old school 64 Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, and, I would buy those to let him play, Joe, and I'm telling the truth now. And so with this one, the Breath of the Wild, I bought it and I wanted to get into it. I wanted to, experience it as, in my mid-30s and see if it was different for me. And after playing for a while, it still felt the same. It just didn't pull me in. And you're the same way with Mario.
Yeah.
So it's like when I hear you say this is an easy
I'm kind of the same way with Legend of Zelda. But what I'm willing to see in Zelda that I'm not willing to see in Mario is how it changes the genre that it sits in. It completely expands upon everything that genre's been doing. Ubisoft has been harping that or killing that genre with like these world maps with a million different like locations to go and see it. Everything is just spelled out for you. What I think is so unbelievable about Zelda is the way that it takes this open world style game and just says it is actually now open world. You can go there, you can crawl up that mountain if you want to, you can go and do, and wherever you do go to, you're going to be rewarded for going there.
You can find things,
like if you see a mountain, chances are there's some shit on that mountain that you want, so go on up there.
I saw that, I was playing that right after I beat Horizon Zero Dawn, and I did see that, and that's a respectable point. But sometimes you don't have to change the recipe if it's not broken. See, for me, the Super Mario,
it's not my number one.
Super Mario Odyssey, to me, they mastered that genre. I think that, they really couldn't do much more with that genre than what they did with this game. I think that they pulled everything about almost every single Mario in history, and they pulled it in some meaningful way into this game and let us play with it. And to me, it just worked so well. I can't even imagine what they could have done to make this game better than it was when I played it. And it took me a while to actually, I let my wife play it and beat it. I told you guys that. And my daughter was goofing around. And one day I just sat down and I did it. And it was so rewarding to me. And I don't think that Nintendo had to necessarily change the game with Mario Odyssey. But I think that they fine-tuned the game with an open world platformer in a way that I don't think they could have gone much further in such a meaningful way. To me, that's why that was my game of the year pick. That's Respect. Fair. Respect.
Yeah. That's fair.
I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm going to catch a ton of hate with it again. Mario Odyssey. I'm with Briar. I didn't enjoy it. I can see why it's a good game. I can see why people enjoyed it. I personally had more fun in that genre with Yooka-Laylee in terms of the collectibles thing. I like the way that the little lizard moved more. I like the fact that it brought in the classic kind of Atari style retro games.
We don't have time to spend on Yooka-Laylee here.
Yeah,
I don't mean to interrupt you.
They fucked you up last week. They fucked them up last week for even bringing that shit up. Let me bring that shit up in here, cuz.
Destiny 2 has got no business being at the top of that list, though. And
I
to me,
agree.
It's a travesty that that's up there.
I love the game, but it didn't even make my top 5 of the year.
Yeah, I would agree. I would like, as much as I love Destiny 2 and stuff like that, like I gotta take a step back and realize that you guys are right, and it doesn't really belong at the top of that list. You know, as fun as PUBG is, you know, it probably doesn't deserve the spot that it has either.
Right.
I'm gonna have to go with Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild for Game of the Year. Once again, like, I mean, and I totally respect that, you know, Super Mario Odyssey, like, but man, I think Briar just nailed it when he said, you know, it's a game where if you see a place, you can go to it. And to be honest, I haven't gotten that feeling since the old school Oblivion. And even had some limitations. Even when you say Briar, like, it's kind of a rough comparison because even Oblivion had some limitations as to kind of where you could go and what you could see.
Horizon was like that too now. Horizon.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
If you wanted to crawl up the side of a cliff, you had to look for a rope or a ladder, and if it wasn't there, you had to go drag your ass around.
All right.
In Zelda, you just climb that fucking cliff.
Yeah. And like you said, you were most likely
in the game.
You were most likely going to be rewarded for it as well. Like, sometimes it's cool to get to like cool places in the game, take a little screenshot, you know, you get, you know, it's beautiful and stuff, but it is also cool to get some in-game loot from it.
I mean, Breath of the Wild as well, you've got so many ways to approach almost every scenario. You choose the narrative of the game. You can't do that in Horizon. You follow a quest line. It's just, Horizon to me is a well-told RPG. Breath of the Wild is a sandbox RPG from a AAA developer using one of their most beloved franchises, and it's done so well. Absolutely.
Can we just all agree now that more than likely we're going to decide that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is GOTY?
No.
Or Game of the Year?
I think it's Cuphead. I think it's Cuphead hands down. Cuphead is a game that has no weaknesses. It is.
The weaknesses are that we don't think it's Game of the Year.
It looks amazing. It plays amazing. It sounds amazing. It's completely original in its ideas. It's Game of the Year.
Everything you just described also applies to The Legend of Zelda and Mario Odyssey. It looks amazing.
I would argue that there's some serious problems with Legend of Zelda. The weapon system where you're constantly having your weapons break is frustrating and just gets old super fast.
So does dying over and over again, Briar, but people keep coming back.
Get good, Scrub.
Oh, shit.
Well, get more weapons then, Scrub. Shit.
Look, it's fun to beat people over the head with sticks. It's less fun when your stick breaks and you have to go looking around for another fucking stick.
You better pick the best spot to hit him with.
Cuphead puts a really interesting twist, and it is unique in the, like, you know, the Metroidvania sort of style on boss battle shooter, whatever. But Breath of the Wild is like nothing that followed it. It doesn't matter about the art style on it. Cuphead does what it does in a new art style with a fresh vintage soundtrack. I can't think of another game that's done Breath of the Wild. I cannot think of a game.
Yeah, well, you're right about that. But Cuphead was just perfect. Like,
well
Play
executed.
that game. I cannot think of an honest problem with Cuphead. But I mean, it did not revolutionize like a category like Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild
I can think of all sorts of problems with Breath of the Wild. Was it my favorite game of the year? No. But did it revolutionize like a genre? Probably. We'll have to see. I mean,
I'm with you there. I'm with you there, Brian. And for me,
when I played
Mario
it, though,
is Cuphead.
Like, it's, you know, the story didn't grab me, the characters didn't grab me, the world was interesting and fun, but like it just like, I wanted narrative, I wanted a reason to continue playing it, and it never gave it to me. Horizon did a better job of that than Zelda. I mean, I finished Horizon because I wanted to know what was going to happen with Aloy. I wanted to know what the problem was in that world. Doesn't narrative count for something?
It's the nuance of Breath of the Wild, though, and I think that's what we're forgetting now on reflection. To me, the story was told in the way that you approached the game and the way you played it. So I remember when it was a current game, we were talking about the way we found Korok seeds or the way we defeated a shrine in like a unique way. And everyone had a different story. And that's what I mean about the different approachability. Like I remember, hunting some of the dragons on the mountaintops, when you're looking for the dragon scales to build the top end armor and having little experiences there, or trying to track down the last shrines, or, when you first discovered the Master Sword, when you're going through the Korok forest, and you're trying to follow the embers through there. To me, there was lots and lots of discovery, and the story for me was discovery. If there was quest markers everywhere and a narrative story that was strong, I don't think it would have worked, and it would have taken away the fact that I can approach the shrines in any order, or do none of the shrines, or anything else there. And the more you script that game, the more you strip away from the sense of discovery that game had. It
you're
delivered
saying
on
that
the
the ambiguity of the game was a huge draw for you.
Absolutely. No, I don't think any one person could play that game in exactly the same way as someone else without trying to.
That's one of the only games. Honestly, this is one of the only games I ever open world games that starts you off and it doesn't tell you shit. That it kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, did I miss the tutorial here? Did I miss something? They kind of just open up the door and say go. That's
my best experience in that game were like the first couple, probably the first 5 to 10 hours, where it was literally just like discovering everything. Like, your first battle. Your first time you get your ass kicked by an enemy that's so powerful. The first time you, really discover, like, a big secret. Like, you climb something and really discover, like, a huge secret. The first time you discover a town. Like, all of those firsts were really, really exciting to me. The first couple of temples were really great. But as the game progressed,
becomes repetitive.
It became really repetitive to me.
Now, the Horizon Zero Dawn, I played right before The Legend of Zelda, and that was, to me, a better game overall. It suited my taste. Well, just like, people have their opinions, Briar. You think Cuphead's better than Mario, or you think Cuphead's better than The Legend of Zelda. People are going to have their opinions, but I played them both. One kept me tethered and attached and engaged, and the other one I drifted away from. And, that's, kind of what makes gamers. Not everybody's going to like the same thing the same way. And I think there is a valid argument. Yeah, we got to fucking decide.
Do you think you would have liked Zelda more if it wouldn't have been the summer of PUBG? You remember the summer of PUBG. There was a slight breeze. The weather was perfect. There was lots of murder in Novo. Remember Novo during the summer? It was beautiful, man.
Novo was beautiful.
It was.
I was in Roshock alone, just taking that town.
Yeah, because can we make our game of the year a game that's not even fucking out yet?
No, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying, do you think you would have enjoyed Zelda more had you not been so infatuated with PUBG that summer?
Possibly.
One of the issues I had this year was that there's so many great games coming out at such a fast rate that I just couldn't keep up. And I rushed through Horizon so I could start playing Zelda. That's just how it went down.
I think that the top five for me was really difficult because to get Doki Doki and Dear Angelica on there, I had to drop like Persona 5 and a load of other games that were well deserving. Any other year in a vacuum, they were potential Game of the Year candidates. But we had a slew of Game of the Year games that came out this year and re-releases as well, like games that have been re-released on other platforms. I mean, like Pyre, Divinity Original Sin 2 for PC, even something like Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battles, like things like that would be in discussions. They might not have won, but they'd be on the lists at least. This year, there's just been such high quality titles that to get a game on there, you've really got to hit a knockout to even be considered.
But we have to fucking decide.
Can't.
We can reflect, but shit, we're gonna have to put our dicks on the table and leave them there, and we're gonna have to come up with something. We're all gonna have to decide. And see, I haven't played Cuphead, so that can't be my choice. So
you haven't played it yet?
No.
How have you not played Cuphead yet?
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of games I play that you haven't played, Gary.
Like, you literally put aside an hour and you could like have a play of Cuphead, man. I can't believe that. That's like you are Mr. Retro, aren't you? Like side-on platformers and.
Yeah, I do.
Man, put the Yobo down. It's a problem.
Okay, what do you guys think about this for top 5 in no particular order? Just to try and narrow it down. If anybody's got a serious problem,
I don't care as long as Mario's on there. That's my shit.
Zelda, Cuphead, Battlegrounds, Wolf 2, and PUBG.
No, No, you've completely ignored Mario.
Just
you
like
could take
the rest of the
podcast
has overall
out of there.
You think get rid of PUBG and put Mario in there? A game we've put hundreds of hours in.
Yeah, because it's a finished game.
Oh, you make a strong point there.
I think you're crazy not to have Doki Doki in there. Absolutely.
You're the only one who's played it.
Get out of here, Gary.
And it sounds like it's a book anyway, not a video game. So
it's a visual novel.
Over.
Go read that shit somewhere else.
Is it a pop-up
comic book in our Game of the Year discussion?
Yeah,
what a pop-up book.
Surrounded by Philistines.
Sure are. One of them black too.
Or Gary.
Listen.
All right, so right now I got 6 games. I got Zelda, Cuphead, Battlegrounds, Wolf 2, and Mario. No, that's 5 games. That's 5 games right there.
Yeah, that's 5.
And we've not got Nier on the list either, man. This is a terrible list.
Nier is looking further and further away. It's not quite as near as you thought.
What game do you put on? What game do you take off of that top 5 to get Nier on it?
PUBG. It's not a game. It's a early access. It's not released.
Man, he's saying that all those hours you spent didn't mean shit, Briar.
We were beta testing it. We were paying to beta test the game.
Listen, here's the deal. Like, in reality, yes, Battlegrounds is an unfinished game. A year from now, 2 years from now, whenever it's done, it could be a completely different game and a completely different experience to what we had at the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know. You can't really judge it in that way, in my opinion. Zelda will be Zelda a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever. Same thing with Cuphead, Wolf 2, and Mario. PUBG can be. They could make PUBG My Little Pony Simulator for all we know.
It's a video game, and I played it. I don't care what version or release date or candidate it is. It's a video game that I sunk 500 hours into over the summer and had a ball doing it.
I'm going to plead the fifth here, right? I'm going to plead the fifth and go on technicality on best game of the year, right? The category itself recognizes a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. Can you tell me that PUBG is a technically excellent experience, delivers excellence in technical fields?
Damn, bro, he just kind of shit all over your shit.
It's a fun game. It's not a technically excellent field.
I thought Gary was getting ready to shit on me. I was starting to duck, and I'm like, oh, he's going after Briar. This is awesome.
You can't defend the technical excellence of that game. It's buggy.
I can't. You're right.
The animations are not finished. It's
okay,
popular.
So if we take PUBG, but it's so fun. That's the thing.
You're right. You're totally right. I've put a lot of time into it as well and had a lot of fun. Like, I hear what you're saying, man. I'm definitely not disagreeing. But Gary kind of shit on it. So
Cuphead, I mean, I don't. I hear the argument, and I sort of agree with it. I'm not sure I'm 100% on board because, like, at some point, fun is more fun than, it means more than technical achievement.
True.
But that is part of the category, so I'm willing to take PUBG off the list if everybody else is.
Yeah.
And we'll have a list that looks like Zelda, Cuphead, Wolf 2, and Mario. What's the 5th game?
God, there's so many. I mean, Persona 5 was one of the Game of the Year nominees. Not enough of us have played it to put it through. Was Horizon on that list? I don't think it should be, but was it?
No.
I don't think it should be.
No, I don't think it's Game of the Year. I mean, what does it do that's original and new? The reason I'm saying Persona is that it was in a class of its own within the JRPG genre.
What about Hellblade?
Hellblade's potential.
I mean, I would argue Hellblade suffers the same problem as Wolfenstein 2, where the actual playing of the game isn't super good, but the story and what it does there is good enough to carry it to a top 5. It might not be in number 1, but it could be in a top 5.
I mean, chat are getting behind Nier, and I've got to lean into chat there. If you've put time and effort into Nier, you've got a game that's multi-layered, multifaceted, 26 possible endings, 5 true endings that you should play through. Haunting storyline, Platinum Games combat. I think Nier is a much more deserving title.
But how's the fucking?
Yeah,
man. Well, there's a DLC where she's in a slightly maid's outfit, and if you hold L3 and R3 together on the PlayStation version, her skirt explodes, and she's in a thong. So
another plus for console.
There's some fucking
there.
Damn,
that's awesome.
All right, put it on the list if there's fucking.
I'll give it that. Revolver decides there's a thong.
All right, we got 6 games again.
Okay.
We got Cuphead, Zelda, Wolf 2, Mario, Hellblade, and Nier. And I gotta be honest with you. The only game on here that I played and actively didn't like is Mario.
Here, I second that. Ukulele, let's get that on the list.
This is my last time on the show. I ain't got time for this shit. This is fucking crazy.
I have trouble putting it on the list just because I didn't like it.
Man, y'all gonna make me turn hood in this motherfucker. Look. For real, man. That game is for real. This is some bullshit. What the fuck is going on in this?
For the audio listeners right now, you can visually see that Beastly is hot and bothered.
This is some straight up bullshit right here.
On the color chart, he's just gone 3 shades blacker, and he's just sort of got his hood self out, man.
This is chicken cake. I'm tired of this shit.
This is dark shit. I mean, tell us what Mario did that other platform games haven't. Why was this Mario a game of the year aside from it having a plumber? And yes, I'm aware I'm saying Mario and not Mario. I refuse to say it.
Well, let me explain to you why Mario is game of the year. I didn't explain to y'all for the last hour, man. It's a technical feat to, first of all, to put this on a tablet, firstly. Second of all, amazing controls, beautiful game. They married every aspect of all the meaningful Marios from the past and somehow pulled them into this game meaningfully.
I would argue it's not technically that impressive. I mean, it looks it looks like a 3D Mario game, and they've been doing that since the N64 days. I mean, it looks like a really good one, but it's not technically much.
It's on a tablet, Brian.
Yeah, so
you got to argue it's more than a tablet.
Yeah,
I mean,
can we? It's on mobile.
Also, control-wise, like just the fact that I'm forced to use motion controls just pisses me off.
You don't like motion controls, but that's another technical feat, man, on a tablet. And you could, there's so many different ways you can play.
That was a technical feat on the Wii, and it was pretty cool. And then we told them to stop doing this, but they keep doing it anyway.
Sorry, I'm responding to Gary's ass in the chat. Fuck you, Gary. Mario is a poor man's ukulele. What?
It is. No, I don't know. I mean, being serious, I'm with Briar. A game needs to immediately hook me and get me there. You might have said the tutorial started slow. You might have said like the Mexican world, whatever, wasn't the best. I played through the first 2 worlds, and if a game hasn't grabbed me by the first 2 worlds, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna. In a game, a year that's had games that are this good, I've got a backlog of games that I know are good and I know I'm going to enjoy. I'm not going to waste time waiting for Mario to grab me. I didn't enjoy it, and that's probably a fault of me because I know it's a 10 out of 10 with reviewers. Not in my book.
I would argue that it doesn't look really much more.
Give me a revolver so I can shoot myself. I can't believe this shit.
I would argue that it doesn't look like it looks like the one that came out on Wii U before 3D World. Doesn't look.
That was better.
It was a good game. I'm not like hating. I'm just stating graphically it looks more closer to something that was on the Wii U. And I get it. That's cool that it's.
Mario
give
Kart
you this
came
one.
out
You know that it's on a
tablet. Wilson.
It's on a tablet type device, which is very impressive. Don't get me wrong. It's very impressive. I'll throw you a bone there. It is a tablet-esque device.
But we're not here to review the Switch. We're here to.
Yeah, you're right. Like, so
game.
I'm agreeing with Gary and Briar that I can't see Mario as the game of the year.
That's totally fine, guys.
He's out. Fuck this shit.
It was nice.
So, next game that we'd have to look at and try to argue about would be either Zelda, or Wolf 2, Hellblade, or Nier. So,
are we looking at like our number 1 here? Is that what we're doing?
I think we've eliminated Mario as our number 1 because
so there's 4 games left, and all 3 you guys, your number 1s are there. There's another game there, but my number 1's gone.
My number 1's not there, technically.
What was your number 1?
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2.
I mean,
mine's not even in the running.
I got to talk about Hellblade and Wolf 2. Both have a similar issue with that the gameplay isn't there. I mean they're both amazing experiences, but mostly carried on the back of their narrative.
Yeah,
so I think
well, at least for Hellblade,
both of those out.
I hear you.
Nier, I hear great things about it, but I just didn't fucking play it, and unfortunately,
it is a great game.
Did you play it as well?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
I haven't. Yeah,
Beasley did though.
I mean, I'd defend it slightly harder
game,
if you guys had also played it. I'd defend it a bit harder because I think I'd have a winning case there. But of what's left, we've got Cuphead, Nier, and what else?
Zelda.
And Zelda. I think looking at those,
Zelda's gonna win, man.
I feel like Zelda is the winner.
There's no way. It's too much. It's too much to do. I mean,
I just
too
feel
much
like
to find.
Cuphead is technical excellence in a side-on shooter.
But we're putting a game that none of us feel really that passionate about as our best game of the year.
I do.
Well,
I
look,
genuinely
Briar,
do.
this is what I'll say. Okay, let me just make this comment about Breath of the Wild. It didn't necessarily pull me in the way that I would have liked, but I do know that if I was stranded somewhere in a desert island, I would have hundreds of hours. And as I played and really got into the game, I know I would. Everybody in China ain't wrong about rice, man. Everybody loves this game. Everybody who's played this game to completion. Gary, you played this game through to completion. You know it's amazing. All the reviewers, everybody who's played this game knows how amazing it is. So it's like, and it's so much of a game. I think that the other games on this list, the other two, are much shorter experiences. And if you're going to have masterful games, you want the biggest one.
That was exactly what I was going to say. With the ones that remaining, I think it's no contest for me. Zelda. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, once I lost Doki Doki, it was all downhill from there. So I think I've got to settle on Zelda.
I feel you, bruh. I feel you.
Okay,
Zelda. Bullshit.
Zelda
it is.
I think it's
Zelda game of the year. You can flame us.
Cuphead. I feel like Cuphead is a flawless game. It's flawless. It's just executed so perfectly.
I don't know if it is though. If you like side-on, platform boss battle or boss blitz games, then fine. But what does it do over and above that? It does that perfectly. But
it has an amazing and original art style. It has amazing and original controls.
Soundtrack.
The controls are like just absolutely flawless. The soundtrack is amazing. Like there's not a weak spot. The only weak spot it has is if you don't like the genre it sits in,
or if you don't like games that are difficult. That could be an issue for a lot of people.
If you're a pussy, I guess that's one way to look at it.
Come see me on Bloodborne then, cuz. Shit.
It's probably why I didn't like it.
I feel like games have been doing that in that genre since the TurboGrafx 16 though. Because if you're looking for a console that is very shooter heavy, Super Nintendo and TurboGrafx 16 are great for that. And there's some really fantastic shooters out there that came out like a long time ago. I'm not going to quite put them on like the art level as Cuphead, but as far as flawless controls. The last time I played
a game that was as good as this was Gunstar Heroes. That was 20-something years ago.
It's a good game. Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I gotta play this game.
I guess Meat Boy would be in there, but that's pretty different.
And Shovel Knight was arguably a lot of people said that was up there. I mean, I played a couple of levels of Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight pretty quickly. It didn't appeal to me that much, and I usually like that kind of Super Metroid.
Oh, I loved it.
Aesthetic. I like Guacamelee a lot better than that.
Yeah.
It wasn't my bag. I mean, it could be because I don't like 2D platform games that I wasn't. I mean, I enjoyed Cuphead, but it wasn't for me game of the year. I just think Breath of the Wild had more of a lasting impact on what games will be moving forward, and I think conversations will be had around Breath of the Wild maybe for longer than Cuphead. I think Cuphead was good.
What about Guacamelee, Briar? You really liked that game. I mean, you had nothing but good stuff to say about it. How did that stack up to Cuphead?
I would say Guacamelee was a fun game. Cuphead is a flawless game.
Masterpiece.
I would say so.
I need to play this game. Is it?
I mean, I don't like the genre, and I enjoyed it. So.
No, it will not run on the Yobo, Beasley. You're gonna have to upgrade your graphics card in that Yobo.
You might get a couple of frames per minute on that, maybe.
Throw this thing in there.
FPS. Yeah. Hey, it might fit actually. It could stack underneath.
What do you got from PCIe slots in that Yobo?
I'm trying to see it's almost as thick as a PS4 controller.
All right.
Got room.
So we're going Cuphead Game of the Year, right?
Hell no, man.
All right.
No.
All right.
After reverse psychology, you need to work on that shit. We're definitely going The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
I'm admiring his passion for this, though. Like, his
and
admiration and passion
for
this topic is, like, kind of winning me, man.
I mean, I could.
No, man, don't do it, Wilson. Don't give in, goddammit.
Look at those eyes.
Cuphead is a protest vote.
Don't stare into his eyes. That's the dark abyss. Look, he's trying to really stare into the
Wilson,
camera now. Don't do it, Wilson. Look away.
Which way are you leaning, Wilson? Which way are you leaning? Cuphead or Zelda? Because I think if you go Cuphead, we've got 2 for Cuphead, 2 for Zelda, and chat could decide. This could be an ultimate.
I like that idea.
I kind of think we should put maybe some sort of a straw poll or maybe something out on Twitter.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Lasting thing.
I don't even think there's really even competition here. I don't think any group of people would ever fucking choose Cuphead over the.
You haven't played the game, Beasley.
I still don't believe that. Shit.
5 hours into Zelda, no hours into Cuphead. Man.
Gary.
Yeah,
well, like I said,
it's all Zelda in the comments, guys. It's Zelda.
Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
I mean,
Zelda.
Without Doki Doki, I might just put a protest vote in Destiny 2. Just to
Ash is Cuphead.
You like stirring the fucking pot. I think you should come with a spoon on your back, Gary.
Man, I genuinely want people to play Doki Doki. It's so good.
We ain't talking about that shit no more. Right now we are on Breath of the Wild and Cuphead.
Sometimes, Gary, a game isn't appreciated until many years after it's come out. Look at Night Trap. You know? Perfect example.
Trap Queen, man.
Major CH40 SO7 said Zelda. Clearly, Cuphead is just a meme. They fucking with you, Briar. Briar said that meme is a masterpiece.
There's a vote. There's a poll now. Everybody vote.
Okay.
Can I vote?
So far, Cuphead has 100% of the votes.
He voted.
Right, there's no option.
The first vote.
This is flawed because there's no other where you can freeform type Doki Doki, so I think it's rigged.
All right.
It was 50, Cuphead 50. Up 75.
If
Cuphead,
you're in chat right
Zelda.
now, get your vote in there. Let's find out. It looks like Zelda might pull away with this one.
We need your help, guys. Get in there and vote. It takes 2 seconds. It takes significantly less time to actually vote in real life, so this is much easier.
Like, if Cuphead didn't come out this year, I'd be all over Zelda, but Cuphead, it was flawless.
I tried
It was the Ivan Draco of fucking video games.
It was juicing.
Look, man.
Juicing. It was in the back, juice.
So, if Cuphead was the Ivan Drago, then what Zelda was the Rocky Balboa? You're telling me Zelda was out cutting woods in the Siberian wilderness, you know, just out there lifting up carts with his wife and trainer in it. That was Zelda.
It's 14-9 right now.
Briar, I tried to cheat, okay? I'm just being honest. I tried to open up a new tab and vote again, and this fucking thing knew. It said, your vote has been counted. Yeah. You have already voted on this poll.
You're like a beginner at trolling on Twitch. There are fucking professionals out there, Beasley.
I know. Shit.
I know.
I'm too old for this shit.
I was expecting the troll to have sort of like 3,400 votes in one of the things, but no one's managed it.
And it looks like Zelda wins Game of the Year, and I can sleep with that because at least I fucking played that game.
10-14. It's a sad day, but it seems like chat has spoken. Zelda's taken it.
Zelda has won. Briar, how do you feel? Be honest.
I feel like Zelda is a great game, and Cuphead is better.
And I feel the same way about Mario. I think Mario's better.
Sticking to them guns like fucking glue. Pry those guns from its cold dead hands.
Revolver has decided Game of the Year, and that game is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and we will honor that decision publicly anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Zelda
privately, there's going to be some Cuphead, some Mario, some
we
Destiny.
We got 4 runners up, though. We got Cuphead, Hellblade, Wolf 2, and Nier.
And Doki Doki as an honorable mention.
No. He didn't say Mario. See, Briar's trying to troll me. That's just so
That's true.
wrong.
I am trying to troll you.
Seems fair.
So wrong.
We've got it.
They snuffed Mario
if I just leave this poll up for long enough.
There was 6 contestants.
Start promoting
and they snuffed Mario out first. One of the best games of the year got snuffed out. Tell me this shit ain't rigged.
Well, I think we've settled it now. That's it. That's decided what's going to win Game of the Year in all subsequent categories. You don't even need to watch the Game of the Year awards anymore. Now you've seen it live on Revolver.
Right. Just rewatch this that night.
Yes. Come back.
See how it
come back and watch it again. In fact, watch it on Podbean, watch it on iTunes, and leave reviews. That's the most important thing. Watching it is only half the battle. You win the war by leaving reviews. So, again, if you support what we do and you just enjoy bad entertainment, then please head to iTunes, Revolver Live on iTunes, leave a review, leave a like. We'll be eternally grateful. There's one other bit of shameless promotion that I would like everyone right here in chat now. If you could do me one gracious favour, if you're on Twitter, could you please hit up the guys at Dicks by Mail? That is, Wilson, if you could put at Dicks by Mail in the chat for us, I know you're there. If you could tag either Briar, Beastly, myself, or Wilson in it and tell them to sponsor us. We are currently harassing this company left and right to get sponsorship. We will promote them for free, enough until they do. Dicks by Mail is a company where you can anonymously send friends, colleagues, co-workers, or loved ones penises, bags of penises in the mail.
They explode too.
They explode, much like I do whenever this show comes live. We're really desperate to get a sponsorship from them. We feel like they're a perfect match for us. If you feel that they're a match for us too, please tweet at them. Let them know that we're interested. Let them know that we talk about them a lot. And we're giving them free promotion as it is. So why not make this an official deal? Put a ring on it, guys. In fact, put a cock ring on it, guys. We're here.
Provide it. Don't hide it.
So good at this shit. If you guys would like to become a part of the show in the future, a few weeks ago we had an entire show with topics submitted by our viewers. If you'd like to submit your own topics or suggestions, you can do that at revolvergamescast@gmail.com. That's revolvergamescast@gmail.com. Be sure to leave us any feedback or any topics you'd like to see on the show in the future at revolvergamescast@gmail.com.
Yeah, next week we should read out some of the funny
reviews
again. That was fun.
Yeah. Put your reviews in iTunes. We'll read them for you next week. So we look forward to seeing those.
I mean, we say it every week. The best review will get a dick pic from one of the hosts of the show. It's an ongoing gag. Just as an FYI and a warning, you may want to clean out some mailbox size if you get Beastly's one, because that's a fucking large file.
It's a large format picture right there.
It's a big file that you'll get sent through.
It's a big file size. That's within terabytes.
How many megapixels in that, Beastly?
40. 40? Yeah. Long
40
lens.
megapixels.
Respect.
That's 1 megapixel per 2 inches. You do the math.
That's about right.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, you can always. Well, we'll see you next week, I guess. I'm gonna play the video again one more time.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
play
we'll
the video
see you.
for
Maybe we won't. Yeah. Should we shout out who made this video?
Yeah, it was
Give
Omega
him some
Ra.
love.
That's right. We forgot to say it.
Omega. Thank you, Omega.
Omega Ra submitted this video. It was really funny, and thank you so much, Omega.
Yes.
I laughed pretty hard when I first saw it. And
that's the thing.
I got Yobo.
We love getting fan mail. So
Yobo
if you guys enjoy this enough to be mad enough like Omega to make us anything funny, any funny videos, artwork, stories, pictures, etc., send them to us, tweet them at us. We'd love to see them. So again, you might get featured on the show like Omega.
Or you might not, but we'll still watch the video.
We will do. We might even claim it as our own work. To be honest, we're that scandalous.
That's true.
And you'd love it. We're going to claim your work, and you're going to love it. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll play the video one more time.
When you're getting ready to fuck the Mike Big Bird, make sure